Member Jean? Oh, you're going to open the meeting.
I'm opening the meeting. All right, now we'll take roll. Go ahead.
Member Jean?
I am here.
Member Kayada?
Here.
Member Benjamin?
Here.
Member Navarro?
Here.
Member Rhodes?
Present.
Member Singh?
Here.
Member Ibarra? Here. We have a quorum.
All right, do we have any public comments?
There is none.
Perfect, we will go to closed session. Thank you. Make sure. All right, calling back to order, let's start with a pledge of allegiance. All right, item 4.2, broadcast statement.
This meeting of the Sacramento City Unified School District is recorded. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV UVerse cable systems. The recording will also be closed captioned and video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Saturday, December 21st at 2 p.m. and Monday, December 23rd at 12 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/MetroCable14. We welcome members of the audience to address the board. Please complete a speaker form which are located in the back of the room and give them to our communications representative along with any handouts you may have for the board prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items that are not on the agenda. If you do comment on an item that is listed on the agenda, we will ask that you please defer your comments until your item comes up on the agenda. Please also either turn off your cell phones or place them on silent mode.
Thank you for that. 4.3, we have Stellar Student introduced by board member Jean.
Hello. So I am honored to, yes, please feel free to stand up and come on forward. Tonight we are celebrating 5 students from Health Professions High School. And according to their counselor, Maria Soleres Luna, we would like to formally recognize Taylor Sadler, Kayla Yang, Adrian Takuri, Joshua Imba, and Luz Pascual for their outstanding contributions to Arthur A. Benjamin Health Professions High School. These students consistently rank at the top of their class academically and serve as agents of change, active agents of change within our school culture. Their commitment extends beyond academics as they volunteer for community events and take an active role in organizing school activities. They advocate for their classmates, ensuring that all voices are heard, and work diligently to provide quality services for all students. We express our gratitude for their dedicated service and commend them for their hard work. Their teachers and school staff take pride in their achievements and contributions to our school community. That is absolutely amazing. Would you like to share anything with us? You can just say thanks, or you could actually, I'd love to hear what active agents of change mean. What are you guys doing on the campus?
My name is Taylor Sadler, and I will speak on behalf of my fellow peers. To start off, we would all like to say thank you, not only to our school for promoting us for this award, but most of all, you guys for having us here today and for acknowledging all of the successes that we have done. We hope that the rest of this year will be stupendous for everyone involved. We hope everyone here will have a spectacular holiday season, and at the start of 2025 and all of 2025 will be an incredible year for all.
Excellent. So as you know, it's picture time. I'm going to come down and give each of you an award, and then we're all going to go down and get a picture with you all. So parents, adults that want to celebrate this moment, feel free to come on up and take some pictures.
Which way?
You're so welcome. Adrian.
Thank you, sir.
Great job. Oh, that is amazing.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job.
Right, everybody, 1, 2, 3. And one more, 1, 2, 3.
Miss MJ wants us. I love it.
All right, moving on to item 5.0, announcements of action taken in closed session. Ann.
Good evening, Member Singh. There are 2 announcements coming out of closed session this evening. The board approved a settlement agreement related to OAH case number 2024070465, and second, a settlement agreement related to OAH case number 202470904663, each one separately by a unanimous vote of 7-0.
Thank you. 6.0, agenda adoption. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right. 7.0, public comment. Do we have public comment, Brian?
We do.
And can you tell us how many public comments
We have about 15 total.
Thank you.
Let's begin with Jeremy Smith, followed by Termine Knox, and then Lisa Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Jeremy Smith here on behalf of Scouts BSA Troop 8. We're here tonight in the back of the room, several of them to complete their citizenship and the community merit badge requirement to attend a public meeting. We all thought that coming to a school board meeting would be something that was very germane to them to meet that requirement. I did just learn that one of the Scouts is on the Bancroft Elementary Student Council, and they are having a hot debate about the length of the recess for the 6th graders. I don't think he's going to come address the board tonight on that issue, so you don't have to worry about that hot button issue coming up. But we thank you for letting us be here tonight, for having the meeting, and most importantly for your service on what was probably one of the most rewarding but difficult public boards to serve on in all of politics. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Termine Knox, followed by Lisa Stanley.
All right. Good afternoon, and happy Thursday to each and every one of you behind me and in front of me. Today, I will be speaking on behalf of John F. Kennedy High School's program to improve our athletic plan. So recently, that's really broad. First, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you, but that's a broad statement. But I'm gonna break it down for you guys because sometimes you guys tend not to understand. We're gonna do impacts on students, limited opportunities, unequal access to resources, decreased morals and motivation, increased risk of injury, subpar athletic experience. Sorry, subpar is a big word for you guys, so I'm gonna break it down. Something that is below average, unusual, or normal, reduce competitiveness. Let's go back to the top. Limited opportunities. Having different colleges, recruitments, scouting, free clinics help prepare athletes to build their morale and athleticism. We're lacking that at John F. Kennedy High School, but Grant has everything they deserve, I guess. Unequal access to resources. We don't have our coach on campus. That is frustrating. The reason why I don't know the reason why we don't have our coach on campus, but our athletes are going down in the GPA. Their GPA is really low, and that is because we don't have our coach on campus. We do not have a mentor or somebody to lean on when we need. I feel like that is a big thing that is going on right now at John F. Kennedy High School. There is no male figure because some of us are lacking male figures in the home. So how can we come to school and want to learn something if there's not actually somebody teaching us what we actually need to learn and helping us and understanding us like our coach does? I'm just asking. Decreased moral and motivation. I don't want to play Grant every year. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like we all know how that goes. So put us somewhere where we can have motivation for ourselves to go out there and play football and have a good game of football, if you guys will like. Increased risk of injuries. We don't have the proper equipment to play football. Our athletic trainer can't even tape us up because he hasn't had his budgets from this year. So he was using tape to cover my hand up because I got turf burn and I don't want it to get infected, so I asked him please to wrap it up. He was using tape from last year because he doesn't have enough budget. That's heartbreaking. That's really heartbreaking that our athletic trainer is the one coming to me instead of you guys because he can't get through to you guys.
We're over time, so last comment.
Okay, I'm almost done.
Thank you.
I'm almost done. Thank you. Subpar athletic experience, something that is below average and unusual or normal. Reduced competitive. Also, being in a division we're in. The division that we're in is really high. Drop us down in division. Let us actually play some football and not get torn all across the field. So we can go back and tell our school that we got a victory and we can bring them back something. Like every single year, it's the same thing. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll let you guys think about it over tonight and I'm gonna leave it alone. You guys have a good night.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Stanley. I'm an advocate and volunteer coach for the Kennedy High School football team. I'm here to highlight the challenges our team faces due to inequities in resources and outdated facilities. Our student athletes practice and compete on fields that are unsafe and poorly maintained, increasing the risk of injury. Meanwhile, other schools in the district have access to modern facilities that foster both safety and pride. This disparity is unacceptable. In addition, our program struggles with insufficient funding for uniforms, essential training equipment, and transportation. Coaches invest countless hours mentoring our players, yet the stipends offered don't reflect the work required. This makes it harder to attract and retain quality coaching staff. The lack of clear and timely communication from administration is another barrier we're facing. Parents and coaches are left out of key decisions that directly impact our program, eroding trust and engagement. The Kennedy football team is full of hardworking, resilient student athletes who deserve the same opportunities as their peers in better funded programs. I urge the board to invest in facility upgrades, equitable funding, and better support for the athletes. Let's ensure all SUSD students have the tools they need to succeed. Also, Tamara mentioned the head coach not being removed from the campus, and there's been a decrease in the GPA. He was a black male figure on that campus, and there's been a rise in fights. There's a lot of issues have been increasing since his removal from that school. So we would ask that he goes back to Kennedy. Thank you.
Next group of speakers, Greg Sandlin, followed by Ryan Smith, and then Micah Merrill.
Good evening, Chair Singh, members of the board. Greg Sandlin, parent of 2 kids at JFK High School, and I'll speak mainly to facilities. I understand now that there's a 2017 plan to improve some of the athletic facilities on campus, and I imagine that helped inform some of the projects that are funded by bonds. But the implementation is pretty unclear of how that's going to happen. There's a presentation you have in front of you that has been compiled by coaches and concerned parents. And I guess just, thankful for the ball fields are being fixed, and the pool is going to be rehabbed pretty soon, but our football field is in pretty rough condition. Locker rooms need to be updated. They haven't been updated since 1970. Snack bar is in need of repair. Basketball games have been forfeited because of a leaky roof. And just from what I understand, Measure H was passed in 2020 with $750 million, and Measure D just past November. I voted for that. Fantastic news. Another $543 million. So there's $1.3 billion in bond funding that could be going towards facilities. And I see that there's a bond oversight committee and some projects listed, but I just my respectful request is that you could send staff member to meet with some of the coaches, parents, and explain just how these projects would be funded, how they've been prioritized equitably. Is the 2017 plan being adhered to? Why not? And just also, when are these projects happening so they can be anticipated by the sports programs? That's all. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Smith. I'm a senior. I go to John F. Kennedy High School. And I personally think that there's a lack of communication for our school. And there's not really a lot of fundings for our program. And I feel like it's not fair that we don't have a male figure at our school personally that can teach us and understand us about ourselves as students and athletes. Thank you.
Michael Merrill. I'm a junior at John F. Kennedy High School, and I personally think that our school needs more funding and stuff because other schools got like better stuff than us and stuff, and like our school don't got a good program like other schools, and I feel like we deserve the same treatment as other schools, the same treatment, and get more funding for our school because our school is kind of raggedy. Everything. The field's messed up, the equipment's messed up, and our coaching and staff. We need our coach back at our school because our coach was a big impact on our players and helped us with our grades, maintain our behavior at our school. And I felt like we should have a coach back. And yeah, that's all I got.
Next speakers, Franchelle Brown and Aaron Leone.
Good evening, all. My name is Ms. Brown, and affectionately known to the community at large. I'm here to beat up on Kennedy High School some more. Unfortunately, I had to remove my 16-year-old son from Kennedy High School. From 9th grade all the way up to now, he's in the 11th grade. He had only 15 credits. My son went into his science class one day. The teacher said, "Oh, you're here?" He's like, "Oh, you don't want me here?" She said, "No." He packed his backpack, he left. He walked out. On October the 28th of this year, my son sat in Mr. Brown's office with Jackie Rose, Jerome Chapel, and he said to my son, "I don't really want you here at my school, and when you turn 18, I'm gonna find a way to kick you out of my school." This is the kind of stuff my son had to put up with. That is why he had 15 credits. I've had to remove him from that school. It hurt me to my heart because I am a product of Sacramento City Unified School District, and I'm very proud of that fact. But what they're doing over at Kennedy is unacceptable. It's not appreciated. I just sent Mr. Lozado a video of a fight the other day. The safety monitor stood there and watched those boys fight. The young man, Mr. Knox, he's the one who broke up that fight while the safety officer stood there and did nothing. And it's on videotape that he did nothing. Another case in point, you have a safety officer. A group of African-American boys were standing around talking, and the safety officer said to him, if the police don't get you, the sheriffs will. This is the kind of attitudes and the behaviors that our young black children have to put up with at Kennedy High School. And on top of that, March the 14th of January of 2023, I went to Mr. Brown and explained to him how my son was being bullied. We went to Mr. Pechos, we went to Mr. Baldini, and they all knew that my son was being bullied. He did nothing. As I stood at March the 3rd burying my nephew, a guy told my son, if they run up in your face again, call me, I'll put them down. I went to Mr. Brown on March the 14th and had a conversation with him face to face. I followed it up with an email. I walked in a letter to him. To this day, this very day, Mr. Brown has not responded to my letter or my email or that conversation. I had to go to Jackie Rose to get her to save those two boys' lives. Because the young man that told my son that he would put him down, he was standing there at my nephew's funeral with a backpack full of guns. So that kid meant what he said. We have that kind of leadership over at Kennedy. The Hispanic children and the African-American children are warring with each other. It is a powder keg. And if don't somebody step in now to do something, we will have gun violence at Kennedy High School. Those children are bringing guns to school there every day on a regular basis. Mr. Lozado can back me up on that fact. And I understand that some of the people at the top knew about this problem, and yet nothing has been done. This is what I'm going to say. And you guys know I'm a member of the African American Advisory Committee for this Sacramento City Unified School District. Remember, all of you were voted in, you can all be voted out. Something needs to be done. Like Ms. Phillips said, there's an elephant in the room. The best way to eat an elephant is one piece at a time. Thank you for listening. Have a great evening.
Good evening. If I can just state, I respect the sentiment. I'm just really asking if we try to keep it to 2 minutes. I really would appreciate that. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Erin Leone. I am SCUSD's current Teacher of the Year. I'm a generational alumna, and I am most importantly a student advocate. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Alliance of Anti-Racist Educators, students, parents, and community members, urging you all to take action on the accountability and restorative justice policy proposal that was presented to you all in August, September, and again in October. Our district needs clear and actionable policy that provides a process for evaluating educators who cause harm, holding them accountable, and addressing the damage that's done to our school communities. The recent case involving Mr. Rivas has brought national attention to what's been described as a prolonged campaign of abuse in Sac City Unified School District. And we know that that case is not an isolated incident. It's the result of systemic failures that allow harm to go unchecked in this district. We understand that harm is inevitable, and sometimes it's intentional, like in the case of Mr. Rivas. Sometimes it's unintentional or more nuanced, like in the case of Mr. Nguyen or Ladoc. But either way, the district has a responsibility to act. That means holding educators accountable, educating them when it's possible, removing them swiftly when it's not possible, and most importantly, restoring the harm that's done and allowing our schools and our communities to find healing. Right now, our district lacks a policy to ensure that these steps happen, and the proposal that we've presented offers a solution. More is needed, though. It's time for you all to engage your legal team to draw up a binding policy, to come together and to make sure that it's implemented. The groundwork has already been laid by educators and community members. What's missing is your leadership. I will ask you again, What will it take? Another highly publicized incident of teacher misconduct has come to light, showing again how this district has failed to protect students and communities from harm. Will this finally be the moment that you all act? Our students, our families, our educators cannot afford to wait any longer. Harm is happening now. Healing must happen now. Accountability and restorative justice must also happen now. What will it take?
Can't comment. Just listening to the comments, but
We're hiding behind the we can't comment. We've asked for the policy to be agendized. We've sent a formal request to be agendized, and we've got no response, no formal response back. We've sent requests for update on the status of our formal request to be agendized, and you are hiding behind this policy that we can't discuss it until it's been agendized. When can we discuss this? What are we waiting for?
we as a board can agendize this, and we have an executive meeting in a week, so we can chat about it. But that's okay. That's fine. We can chat with. We have an adjournment in 15 minutes. I can chat with you in 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next group of speakers, Vanessa Kudabak, followed by Carrie Rellis. Each speaker has an extra card for 4 minutes each.
Go ahead, sorry.
No. Good evening, Superintendent Allen and school board trustees. My name is Carrie Rellis, and I've been a proud Sac City teacher since 1998. I wanted to let you know what's going on at Phoebe Hearst, where we have a thriving kindergarten through 6th grade program. Before 2012, we didn't have kindergarten. We worked with families, the district, and teachers to start the program, and most importantly, to create a schedule that works extremely well for our students and families during the 2012-2013 school year. Since then, we've continued to grow our successful collaborative grade level. We currently have 4 kindergarten classes, and we teach from 8 a.m. until 12:40 p.m. I've worked with several principals and district representatives during my 13 years as a kindergarten Phoebe Hearst teacher, and I can honestly say our voices and concerns have always been considered and heard until now. Last week, our principal let us know 4 of our 5th and 6th grade classrooms are over-enrolled by 3 students each. He said we have a space issue, and in order to solve that issue, we will be creating 2 new classes, 1 5th grade gate class and 1 6th grade gate class in order to accommodate those 12 students we are over-enrolled. The plan is then to fill these 2 new classes to 30 with children from around the district who are currently enrolled in other Sac City schools. Because we don't have classrooms for these new classes, beginning next year, our kindergarten program will need to go from an 8 to 12:40 day to an AM/PM model with 8 to 11:20 and then 11 to 2:20, with the 4 kindergarten teachers sharing 2 rooms. Our principal said that's the plan for 2025-26 and 26-27. After that, there is no definite plan. Now, aside from the facts that the math here really doesn't make sense, and that solving a lack of space issue by adding 48 more students makes even less sense, what we're really concerned about is the fact that the teachers were not part of this decision-making process. We have been led to believe that this decision has already been made, but we find this unacceptable as there has been no input from the stakeholders of the school site. Who made this decision? Where's the transparency we're always hearing about? We are asking the district to collaborate with us to solve this space and over-enrollment issue at our school. We, as the people who do the day-to-day work with our families and kids, have so many ideas for ways to solve this problem, and we would love to be part of the solution. We are asking the district to reconsider, restart the decision-making process, work with your teachers and families collaboratively, and look at alternative solutions. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Superintendent Allen and esteemed trustees. My name is Vanessa Cuddeback. I come to you today as the SCTA rep for the hardworking educators at Phoebe Hearst Elementary. On December 5th, we learned through an announcement from Principal Doyle Martin that the district had decided, without any input from our teachers, to unilaterally change our kindergarten schedule from a unique extended day that has been heralded as a huge success to an AM/PM model that our teachers and parents simply do not want. This decision was supposedly made to comply with class size reduction in upper grades, but instead of contacting SCTA and working with the staff to find a solution, our principal was sent in to deliver the news that our kindergarten program was being overhauled as if it was a done deal. A quick history lesson is necessary here to put this decision in context. 12 years ago, this unique kindergarten program was formed through collaboration and negotiation between our kindergarten teachers, SCTA, and the principal at that time. They created the schedule that we have now that includes one of the leading academic kindergarten programs in our city, as well as age-appropriate play-based time that is essential to the development of the young child. That play-based time includes art, STEM activities, writing practice, structured games, and even bicycles. This combination of rigorous academics and engaging play is what makes Phoebe Hearst Phoebe Hearst. To suggest that any part of our kindergarten should be so easily discarded is highly disrespectful to our staff and our school site. It also goes against the best interest of our students who are benefiting from the program as it is today. Our request is simple. We simply expect that the district will press the reset button on this issue and come to the table with the teachers to problem solve class size reduction at our site. We also expect that you, as our elected board members, will ensure that decisions about our site are done with transparency and in collaboration with our greatest asset, our teachers. Now, as a teacher who worked in kindergarten, actually most of my career, visual aids are usually very important to me. With your permission, I'd like to give you, Ms. Rellis allowed me to snag a picture of her incredible schedule. And I want you just to take a look at that schedule of a typical kindergarten day at Phoebe Hearst and tell me what part of that day is not valuable. Thank you.
Next group of speakers, Amanda Panton, followed by Janine Rupert, and then Mark Henriksen.
Hi, my name is Amanda Panton, and I have been a parent at Phoebe Hearst for the last 10 years, and I have another 6 years ahead of me. As an active and involved member of our community, I'm here to discuss the proposed changes put forth by Principal Martin and Miss April Shafto. Our kindergarten program is not only incredibly successful, but also serves as a significant attraction for families considering enrollment in our district. The extended kindergarten day we currently offer has proven to be an effective progression for preparing students for first grade and acts as a solid middle ground for those coming from TK. I ask you, why are we considering altering a program that is such a strong draw for our district? I have concerns about the impact of adding an additional 50 to 60 students with the proposed plan of an additional 5th and 6th grade class. Currently, there are over 30 children on the wait list for 4th R. Increasing our student population will only exacerbate this issue. I would also like clarification on whether there are plans to offer care from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. for the proposed afternoon session and where that would take place with our limited space. This additional requirement will demand extra costs for families who are counting on our extended kinder days, which they will not be prepared for. There are concerns regarding our PE teacher, who will not have enough time in a week to teach all the classes. This change will result in the need of hiring an additional PE teacher. I wonder if that was considered. This last Monday, we were on a rainy day schedule. Our cafeteria was in violation of fire code. Again, how does adding more students fix this? There seems to be very valid questions asked by our teachers that we haven't been given answers to. There were hopes of a staff meeting this afternoon with Ms. Shafto, but that didn't happen. This seems like a massive, overly complicated correction to a relatively simple problem. Our teachers have logical solutions that deserve to be heard. I strongly encourage you to involve our teachers in any future discussions concerning Phoebe. They are the true advocates for our school, possessing a deeper understanding of its needs than those who are not invested or engaged in what happens on a daily basis. As word of this has begun to travel through our campus, parents are concerned and upset. I am only the tip of an iceberg that most certainly will continue to push for what's best for our kids and our school. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for taking the time to hear what I have to say. My name is Janine Rupert, and I've been teaching at Phoebe Hearst for 23 years. When the Phoebe teachers found out about the perplexing solution that has been put into place to address literally a handful of kids over-enrolled in a few of our intermediate classes, we were flabbergasted. A brief summation of the plan once again. Our extended day kinder program will become AM PM classes. Our 4 kinder teachers will share rooms, and we'll add an additional 5th and 6th grade class. As you can imagine, my colleagues and I had a few questions. For example, what about the current intermediate classes that are significantly under-enrolled? Is it possible to make sure the classes are balanced next year to avoid over-enrollment in the other classrooms? By the way, let it be noted that my class became over-enrolled this summer when the kids from the gate wait list, kids were added to my class from the gate wait list after the 30-to-1 rule was put in place. 30-to-1 rule was put in place. So the 6th grade is only over-enrolled by 3 students. How on earth will we be able to fill an additional class? Furthermore, our campus is already bursting at the seams. Where are the supposed 60 extra kids going to go? Our cafeteria is tiny and oftentimes over maximum capacity, especially on rainy days. We have one of the smallest playgrounds in the district with a single basketball court. Our students play on the play structure in rotation, according to a schedule. Our parking lots are full, our drop-off lane is dangerously congested. In addition, 2 more classes means an additional prep teacher, but there isn't enough room in our schedules and certainly not enough room for another teacher. Our current PE teacher's office is a supply closet. Where can we build additional portables? Surely not on the field because that's a landfill. What about after-school care? Well, both 4th R and Dragon Scholars have wait lists. Have you thought about the possibility of asking the over-enrolled teachers to waive their compensations? I am one of them, and I know I would in a heartbeat. Or do you plan on saving compensation money by hiring 2 full-time classroom teachers and a prep teacher with full benefits? It doesn't make sense for a handful of kids. There wasn't a single district administrator at the meeting, and our questions went unanswered. How could administration from the district come up with an action plan that completely bypasses any input from the teachers? It doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
Okay, final speaker. We appreciate you listening to us tonight. My name is Mark Henriksen. I've been teaching at Phoebe for 13 years, 27 years in the district. Almost a year ago, I read the email notifying us that we were going to have a 30-to-1 student-to-teacher contract agreement. My first thought was not, right on, I'm going to have less kids, my job's going to be easier. I immediately computed that we have a problem. Our 3rd grade sends intermediate 96 students, but we are now only going to have room for 90. Simple math, yikes. But the problem, to this day, I can't recall a strategy session once put forth. I can't recall myself nor my colleagues ever being asked for our opinion. It appears that due to this lack of planning, the district gathered themselves in a room, took out a blank sheet of paper, and came up with one. As the previous speakers have outlined the details of the plan, of the foreseen, unforeseen complications, I'm not going to restate them. I'm going to end it with this. It's hard to imagine any group of employees succeeding with this level of top-down decision-making. How do you think this approach affects a school staff? It's created a gap between those who make decisions and those who are responsible for carrying them out. All we ask, once we come back rested, ready to take on the new year, let's just grab a new blank sheet of paper, pull up a few more chairs, and I have no doubt this is going to be able to be figured out. Thank you.
No more public comment.
Thank you. Item 8.0, communications, SCTA.
Good evening. You guys look great, by the way. My name is David Fisher, First Vice President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. This is a big night. It's a night of celebration. First of all, to Board Member Rhodes, we want to congratulate you on your re-election. Good job. And to the newly elected members, Michael Benjamin, Jose Navarro, and yes, and April Ibarra. We want to welcome you as part of the leadership team for the Sacramento City Unified School District. In joining your new colleagues, board members Jean, Kayada, and Singh, along with Superintendent Allen and her leadership team, the stage is now set for unprecedented era of continuous improvement and progress. The feeling among the educators is one of optimism and positive expectation. So we're finalizing a survey among SCTA members in preparation for our bargaining. Now, it's not closed, and we're going to share all the details when it completely closed, but we had one bit of information that was too good not to share. Back in 2016, we asked SCTA members if they felt the district was headed in the right direction. In that survey, 9.1% of the respondents agreed that it was headed in the right direction. Over the last 10 days, we asked the same question again. 71.5% either agreed strongly or agreed that the district was headed in the right direction. 9% to 72% almost. Only 8% either disagreed or strongly disagreed. In other words, it's been a complete turnaround. The opportunities before us working together are enormous, as are the challenges, as you know. As you'll hear tonight, significant efforts are underway to develop and implement a state-of-the-art MTSS program while addressing a number of areas of improvement identified in the Black Pearl School Board Action Plan. It's no secret that special education remains an area of concern for all of us. But with your new leadership team, we believe that Sac City is uniquely positioned to both preserve the strong traditions that have made our district what it is, while making the necessary changes and improvements to realize the full potential of the Sacramento City Unified School District. With our new contract negotiations scheduled to begin February 4th, together we have the ability, in the spirit of problem solving and cooperation, to unite together to accomplish our collective dream of making SCUSD the destination district for California. Congratulations to our new board members. Welcome to SCUSD, and let's get to work. Just by the way, we have cake and cookies for y'all after 9.2. So.
Thank you, David. SEIU.
Good evening. I'm Jim Riffle. I'm the chapter vice president of SEIU 10-1. This last year, we went through a lot of negotiations. You had a very effective team working with you and working with us, and we really appreciated working with them. Oh, it was about 3 years ago when we did negotiations, and the only answer we got was no. It sure has changed around a lot. Thank you. We really appreciate that. We now have finished our recent round of negotiations, and we have a tentative agreement up on the agenda for you. We believe this to be a good agreement, and we really suggest that it be approved by this board. You have anything extra? Okay.
Hi, good evening. I'm Deborah DeRozzo. I'm SEIU Chapter Secretary. And I would just like to say welcome to our new board members, Michael Benjamin, Jose Navarro, and April Ibarra. Thank you so much for joining this team. And I look forward to continuing work, all of the work that we have been doing with Mr. Kayada, Mr. Rhodes, Mr. Singh, Ms. Jean. So it's been a pleasure. So thank you very much. And we all look forward to that continued work and continued strength in our teamwork. Thank you. And yes, please vote for our tentative agreement and look forward to, I think, the next session, which will be happening soon.
Good evening, guys. I also want to thank all of you guys for supporting us throughout the whole bargaining process. We're looking forward to your positive vote to pass our contract. Welcome to the new board members. I really am going to enjoy working with you. I'm positive of that. It's nice to have board members that are open-eared, willing to pick up the phone and have a discussion, go have a cup of coffee and discuss things. I think we're going to do great things together. I want to do another light decorating with your team, and we need to go do some site visits together. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. TCS, Teamsters, UPE. All right. 8.2, District Advisory Committees, Student Advisory Council. All right. Community Advisory Committee. District English Learner Advisory Committee. LCAP. LPAC PAC. Thank you. Oh, I thought someone got up. Black African American Advisory Board. Community Schools Advisory Committee. American Indian Education Program Parent Committee. All right. 9.0, 9.1, ceremonial oath to our newly elected board members. I have an order here, so we'll start. We'll start with Mr. Michael Benjamin.
Do you want your family around you?
Yeah.
All right, help Mike's family and friends. Come on up.
We'll share pictures, I promise.
Why don't you all stand right behind them? Did anyone bring like a Bible or a Bible? The Bible.
Mike, man. So proud of you, bro.
All right, we'll get this.
Yeah, we're just rocking.
Let me go stand.
Over here.
Everyone go ahead. Is it
You want to use this one? What do you want to phone?
You don't have to do that. You can just pick this one.
Yeah, I raise my hand.
Okay, so you got face me.
All right.
All right, everybody ready?
Yeah.
Right here. I state your name.
I, Michael Benjamin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United
to
States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties that
Upon which,
upon which I'm about to enter.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Everybody get together.
Oh yeah, let's everybody come on. First, Chief.
Good.
We deserve this.
All right, we need Michael front and center right here. Attention, everybody. Right here. Michael?
Important folks in front. Come on, I can stand in the back.
All right, if we can take one photo, and then we'll have a break in a little bit.
We have a whole part for the Michael. One more. 1, 2, 3. Michael.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mike. To see you.
Oh man, I took care of mom. Be safe, man. It's nice to meet you, cousin.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Benjamin, we need you back up here.
You took the oath.
Yes. So for everyone in the crowd, we're going to have a break so you can take all the photos you want with Mr. Benjamin and everybody else who's here today.
One of my birthdays.
I'm going to stop on the All right, thank you. All right. So next up, we have Jose Navarro. We're going to take one big photo, and then we're going to have breaks. We're going to have a big old break, and everybody can take multiple photos. But please, sir.
It's a big old break.
You ready? You ready? Let's do it. I'll say hi and then you say your name, okay?
No, just.
Yep. I
Jose Navarro,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and
California,
the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will willfully,
well and faithfully discharge
again,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
All right, we're gonna go next to Miss April Ibarra so we can finish up all the new board members.
Where do I stand? Either side. Either side's fine. Whichever you feel comfortable. I don't know. We'll get in the picture. Just you. Wait. And here, I would stand here close to the mic so everybody can hear. Can you take pictures? You gotta practice. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Thank you. You gotta practice your teacher voice. Right here? Okay. Okay, ready? I state your name.
I, April Ibarra,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
the
duties upon which
I
am about to enter.
I am about to enter. Y no me rajo.
One, two, three. One more. One, two, three. Thank you.
Was that all?
Yes, that's it. Great. We did great. Thanks. I took video of the whole thing and the pictures too.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that's good.
All right, and now to the longest serving school board member up here, Mr. Rhodes.
Either side, whichever side you feel comfortable on, and then you just talk into the mic. Okay, I think all the kids, everybody's coming back. Ah.
Where's Nina?
All right, kids,
Nina,
work
Mike?
on your day.
Put him out there.
Just at the border. Thank you.
Come on, man. Right here, man. ¿Dónde está Elvia? Hey, you gonna read it, Mom? You gotta read it.
Right now?
You gotta read it to me.
Okay. Raise your right hand. I
I, Chinua Rhodes,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I would support and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
well and faithfully
discharge
discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter. This way, where's where we at? Where's the back? Right here. Where we at? Okay, turn around.
There you are. Okay. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Right here. To get all these people too? Hey, we get one photo real quick. Everybody right over here.
Mr. Rhodes, we have time afterwards.
Hercules. Just look forward, guys. All right, are we good?
Gracias por haber venido.
We'll take some pictures out there. Yeah. Hey, Pop.
Good job.
All right, item 9.2, annual organizational meeting of the Board of Education, election of officers. I'm going to turn the meeting over to our board secretary, Superintendent Allen, for the nomination and election of officers of the Board of Education.
Thank you, Member Singh. Nominations are now open for president of the Sac City Unified School District Board. Are there any nominations?
Member Jean.
I nominate Member Singh to be our president.
Second.
Okay. What is the process?
So the nomination is for Member Singh for board president, and it was seconded by Member Rhodes. Are there any other nominations? Are there any comments? Okay. We will take a roll call, Ann. Okay.
Should I abstain?
No?
Okay.
You want to be president?
Member Jean. Member Jean.
Yes.
Member Kayada.
Yes.
Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Navarro.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Ibarra.
Aye.
Member Singh is now our Sac City Unified School District Board President. All right.
Thank you.
Would you like to have something to say, Board President Singh?
Just thank you. I promise. You're still running this meeting. You're the board secretary.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir. All right. Nominations are now open for Vice President. Are there any nominations? Member Rhodes.
I nominate Member Jean.
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Member? No. Are there any comments? All right. So on the table is for Vice President is Member Jean. I will now take the roll. All right. I don't have another card. Okay. Member Jean.
Feels weird to vote first, but yes.
All right. Member Kayada.
Yes.
Member Benjamin.
Yes.
Member Navarro.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Yes.
Member Singh.
Yes.
Member Ibarra.
Yes.
Excellent. Member Jean is now our Vice President of the Sacramento City Unified School District Board. Finally, we are now open for nominations for the second Vice President. Are there any nominations?
Nope.
Is Member Singh?
I was going to nominate Member Rhodes.
And Member Navarro?
Tyler Kayada. I nominate Tyler Kayada.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any comments?
Do we need a second for
Oh.
items? Okay, perfect.
Comments? All right, no comments. So then I'm going to go back to Member Rhodes. We have a nomination for Member Rhodes. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, so now we're going to take a roll call for this one. So the roll call is for Member Rhodes for second Vice President. All right, roll call. Member Jean.
Yes.
Yes.
Member Kayada.
Abstain.
Member Benjamin.
Yes.
Member Navarro.
Abstain.
Member Rhodes.
Yes.
Member Singh.
Yes.
Member Ibarra. Member Ibarra.
Which one are we voting for? Rhodes?
We are voting for the second Vice President, Mr. Chinua
But
Rhodes.
we had two nominations.
We're voting for the first one first.
Okay.
And that is Member Rhodes. And you are the last person to vote.
Okay. And the other nomination was for Kayada, and we'll vote after?
If there are 4 votes, at least 4 votes, then Member Rhodes will be our next second Vice President.
Okay.
There's already 4.
Are there 4?
There's already 4.
We still need her to vote.
Yes.
Okay. I abstain.
All right. We have 4 votes. So Member Rhodes is now our second Vice President for the Sacramento City Unified School Board.
All right, item 10.0, we are going to adjourn for 5 minutes, so now you can take all the photos up here or outside. Thank you.
There you go.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. I just, Lisa said it's 5 minutes.
Apologies, President Singh.
We have quorum, so we're going to start. 10.0, calling back to order. 11.0, board workshop, strategic initiative. We're going to go to public hearing. Item 11.1, public hearing, AB 1200, public disclosure and approval of MOU between SCUSD and SEIU, Kansi and Janae. I mean, Miss McCarn and Miss Marking.
Constantine works.
Consi. Dr. McCarn.
Doctor.
Just want to, do you have a doctorate too, Miss Marking? Okay.
Hope nobody's lying.
Hi. Hello. Welcome. Let's move it along. Okay. So thank you
Oh, my
for
goodness.
having us up here. My name is Concy McCarn, your Chief Human Resource Officer and Lead Negotiator. And with me is Janae Marking, your Chief Business and Operations Officer. And we are pleased to talk with you about the AB 1200 disclosure approval of agreement between SUSD and SEIU. And while we recognize and just want to be reminded of our core value that we recognize our system is inequitable by design, and we are vigilantly working to confront and interrupt those inequities that exist to level the playing field and provide opportunities for everyone to learn, grow, and reach their greatness. So, as we talk with you tonight about the SEIU agreement, just a few reminders. This agreement was the second round of agreements and the last in this group to be completed, bringing us to June 30, 2025, when this contract ends. We are thrilled and thankful to have had good labor partners that we engaged with in this process, and so we thank the SEIU negotiations team, as well as the district's negotiations team that you can see up here. Without the team approach that brings lots of knowledge, lots of energy, and essential perspectives to the table, we would not have been able to get where we are today in bringing this agreement to you. So just thank you to the SEIU negotiations team, and thank you to the district's negotiations team. In this round, we, as you can see, had 11 articles that we were engaging around. While there were 3 of them that we agreed to have current contract language remain, we did reach agreement and have updates in the remaining ones. While I won't go through each of those 11, I will share and highlight a few things that we were able to agree to through this agreement to help move our work forward. So we have additional steward presence in grievance meetings and when SEIU members are in need. We agreed to an alignment of ed code in various articles. Part of any successor contract negotiations is cleaning up. There's new ed code, there is just making sure things are aligned, and there's sometimes some language cleanup. So that was successful in this round. We were able to streamline employee transfer and promotion language to also bring things into alignment with how either they are currently working and to improve them slightly. We have new grievance language. We have improved communications during the reduction in force, should it need to happen, to help ensure some clarity around the process and to help give employees the most that we can in a very difficult situation. We have language now that minimizes the use of outside contractors and helps ensure that the district is engaging in conversation with union leadership when that has to happen. We have increased time to speak at board meetings that will be part of what you are approving, as well as updated probationary evaluation language, schedule, and communication. Again, part of that is updating with ed code. Now for the compensation items, 3 important parts in this very particular order. Effective July 1, 2023, because this is for 23-24 and 24-25. So effective July 1, 2023, the salary schedules will be increased by 2%. So across the board, everybody in the unit gets that 2%. Then on July 1, 2024, as you can see at midnight, because again, the timing is pretty important here, there will be a squaring of one of the salary schedules, which is the main salary Schedule C. That salary schedule, as we agreed to in what the board approved last November of 2023, to address compaction issues, is going to be more, it's going to be squared. It's going to have some very specific percentages in each way to help address that. So that will happen. And then July 1, 2024, right after that happens, 1201, the salary schedule will be increased by 4%. So in this, no one has less than 6% at the end of the day. And to address the compaction and the squaring of the salary schedule, there will be others that have significantly more. That's how you address compaction. So with that money talk, I will turn it over to Janae.
Thank you, Dr. McCarn. So we present to you in accordance with the conversations that we had, what is the result of some very creative thinking in order to be able to bring our negotiated agreement together. There's an estimated cost for 24-25 of just over $20 million across all funds, which includes, obviously this affects nutrition fund, early learning fund. So across all funds, just over $20 million. And then the ongoing cost is approximately $18 million a year for all funds. And happy to answer any questions. We did submit the AB 1200 paperwork to the county office as required. And we are here presenting this for your approval this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
All right. Board discussion. Let's go. Member Jean.
It's been a long road to get here, and I'm just so excited. It's wonderful to have this be our final, I don't know, it's been that 2-year process, and this is our fifth labor partner, and coming to this agreement is just wonderful. I really appreciate both our employees and our district staff that have worked so hard to get here. And Concy, Dr. McCarn, I very much appreciated you talking about the essential perspectives, like how important it is to make sure so many perspectives are a part of any decisions that are made. I wanted to ask how much time at the board meetings? Is it going from, they have 3 minutes, or are they going to, yes, sorry, how much extra time do they have at the board meetings?
Yes, theirs will be up to 15 minutes.
15 as well. I think that makes
So
sense.
it will be equal with others.
Beautiful. And then I'm really excited about minimizing the use of outside contractors, that language. I think it's so important that our employees be in the community and be invested in our schools and our students. And outside contractors just can't bring that same relationship building space. And so I'm very, very excited about that language. And thank you in particular in all the hard work around compaction. I know how much that has been an issue as we're looking at how our employees who are at the lowest salary schedules, working so hard and so pivotal and so important to our schools, they deserve so much more, and I so appreciate the work that we've done to make sure that we're on the way to getting them what they deserve. So, thank you.
Oh, I'll do it.
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
I'm just in favor, and I would like to move it when it's appropriate. But yeah.
Member Navarro.
So I just have a question on 4C, on the effect of the contract or the agreement. Why is it affecting books and supplies, services and other operating expenditures, and capital outlay? I just don't.
AB 1200?
It's actually page 4C on the impact of proposed agreement on current year operating budget. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Well, they weren't ready.
Okay.
I think that's the next item.
No,
budget.
maybe it's the next item. I'm not sure.
It is the next item. You jumped ahead.
No,
Yes. We're talking about the. No, it's part of
it's part of this one.
Oh, it is.
The staff that actually prepared it is not here, so I'd like to be able to look into that to give you an accurate answer, and we'll communicate that to you.
Okay, that's fine. That'll
Yes,
work.
no
Thank
problem.
you.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Ms. Ibarra.
This is not a question, but just like awareness, is it? So one of the things that I've often been on that side of the podium asking for is transparency. So for the sake of that, first of all, great work, great presentation. I have served on many site councils. And so most recently at Hiram Johnson, before I stepped down from my role as a site council member, I was made aware of how eventually this trickles down because although the district's going to cover those costs for those increases after, so I don't know what the exact timeline is. I know that the schools will have to pick up on that cost. And so the reason I want to bring awareness to that is so that in the future when that starts to happen, we're not looking at us not being transparent. So that's all I wanted to say, is that yes, this is a good thing. It does also mean that we're going to have to do work down at the school levels, and so I just want to bring that awareness now so that when we get there, it's not like a surprise. So, thank you.
Thank you. If I don't see any other comments, I'm going to actually second the motion made by Member Rhodes. So with that, we'll start with the student preferential vote and move to a roll call vote.
Aye. Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Kayada. Oh, sorry. Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Navarro.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Ibarra.
Aye.
Motion passes. Aye? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 11.2, independent audit report. Ms. Martin.
Thank you. Good evening, President Singh, Superintendent Allen, members of the board, and community. I am Janae Marking, Chief Business and Operations Officer. This is item 11.2, the independent audit for fiscal year 2023-24. We are recommending this item tonight for your approval. First, I would like to say an extra special thank you to Karen Weicker and Cindy Tao for all of the work that went into coordinating the multiple departments, the months and months and months of document requests, the staff that stepped up and provided all the information that we need. This is a widespread collective effort in order for the audit to come together to be able to present to you tonight. So on behalf of, I think, just the board and community, thank you to staff for the work that was done. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jeff Jensen. Mr. Jensen is a partner with Crow LLP out of the firm's Sacramento office. Jeff leads the public education audit practice for Crow. Jeff is a regular presenter on technical matters at various state-level organizations such as CASBO and is an active member at the California Audit Guide Task Force. This is Jeff's 5th year serving as the lead partner on the Sacramento City USD audit. Welcome, Mr. Jensen.
All right, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's my privilege to be here to present the audit results for the year ended June 30th, 2024. I have a couple slides to go through here rather than the 100-page audit report here, and distill things down into some key highlights for you. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Just a quick background on our team. I lead the effort for this audit as your engagement partner, but there are two other partners, Jen Aris and Brian Archambault, that are a part of reviewing to make sure that my team is adequately performing and executing the audit according to our standards. And then some of the key members of my team include Charles Ribley and Tori Jockel, who both do a phenomenal job of leading and conducting this audit. I know some of you are new, so the background on Crow, we're one of the largest firms in the country, but have a specialty of working with California school districts. My engagement team is completely based here in Sacramento. It allows us to be on site to work with you, and we work with some of the largest school districts in the state of California, including yours. As was mentioned, this audit, there's a lot that goes into it, and it started quite a while ago. It started back in the springtime with an understanding of the district's operations that we go through to update every year. It helps us develop our audit approach, which is based on a risk and material misstatement and a look at internal controls. So our first visit is in the spring timeframe there to look at to go visit your school sites. To do some of the state compliance and start on internal controls. We also look at some federal compliance at that point as well. And then we return in the fall, in the October timeframe, to actually audit the numbers of the district and then be here tonight to be able to present the audit results to you. For the year ended June 30th, 2024, there were actually no new accounting standards that had a significant impact to your financial presentation. GASB 100 was new, but it doesn't really change much in the presentation, but it was properly applied. Looking at audit adjustments, there were no corrected misstatements as part of the audit process. We did have a few uncorrected misstatements, so these are smaller differences that we keep track of essentially as we go through the audit to make sure they don't aggregate into a material amount. Some of these are the same as last year. Some of these are a little different. So the first one there on the internal service fund for self-insurance. Technically, by accounting standards, a portion of your net pension liability should be allocated to that fund. It's not something that anybody really does, but it's something that the standards say you have to do, so we have to track it, essentially. And it's not a material number, so that adjustment is not made. The second related to the GASB 31 adjustment related to your cash and county treasury and marketing your value to fair value. And there was a discrepancy in the calculation this year. Again, it was not material to the district's financial statements, so that number wasn't actually adjusted. And then lastly was in the building fund as part of looking at your cutoff at the end of the year to make sure all the expenditures are in the proper period. We did find that there was an invoice for service that was for services that were conducted during fiscal 24 but was not accrued as part of your financial statements that were given to us to audit. Again, that's not a material number to that fund, so the decision was made not to make that adjustment. Just some other communications we're required to share with you as a board is that we did not have any difficulties in completing our audit. We had no disagreements with management, and we're not aware of any other consultations with other accountants. So that would be if we had discussed an accounting treatment and the management didn't like what we had to say, and so they went to our competitor and said, hey, what do you guys think? And then try to pit us against them. That would be opinion shopping, and that would be something we'd have to report to you. I'm happy to share that we did not have any of that. Things went very smoothly related to the audit. We had no other significant or adverse events that occurred that need to be brought to your attention. All right, there's several different opinions that are part of these financial statements. The first is the financial statement opinion itself. And for the year ended June 30th, 2024, the district received an unmodified opinion. That's the type of opinion you want on your audit report. That means your financial statements are free of material misstatement and comply with all applicable accounting pronouncements. The second opinion is on federal compliance. For the year ended June 30th, 2024, the district received an unmodified opinion regarding federal compliance. So you had no federal compliance findings. So again, good news to report. Last is under state compliance. The district did receive a qualified opinion that is consistent with prior years as well. There were a couple of state compliance findings, and I'll go through those here in subsequent slides. It's always good to kind of step back and say, look at the financial picture overall for the district. And at June 30th, 2024, the district had approximately $1.8 billion in assets. Your net position was a negative $150 million. That's something that's fairly typical with governments because of your participation in net pension liability and net OPEB liability. And so you can see that that's about $700 million just right there with those two line items by themselves. For the year ended June 30th, 2024, there was a positive change in net position of $166 million. Your general fund balance at June 30th, 2024 was $298.8 million and had a positive change of $40.9 million. All right, as we look at the findings and recommendations that were in this year's audit report, we have eight comments. The first one relates to Associated Student Body. So we did visit a number of school sites this year and looked at the internal controls over Associated Student Body and provided a list of recommendations to management for things that could be improved there to better safeguard essentially those funds that are being raised by the students on each campus. The second comment relates to the GASB 31 fair market value adjustment that I mentioned previously there. So essentially, every year the district is required to mark your investments to fair value based off the factors that are given by the county treasury. And so this year, the calculation was miscalculated by approximately $5.7 million over all the funds of the district. The third finding is, again, another one I alluded to previously here on the previous slide there, related to accounts payable and the invoice for construction services that were rendered during the fiscal year, but were not properly accrued for at year end. And then we get into the state compliance findings. These are all relatively minor, I would say, in nature, but the state does not allow us. A materiality essentially is what has to be reported. So if it's a finding, it has to go into your report. So the first relates to attendance. We look at the attendance records at a number of your school sites. For 3 of those, we found that there were 5 students that were improperly marked present. The calculation of the error is actually less than 0.5 ADA, so there's actually no impact to your ADA or to fiscally to the district. The second comment's on independent study and the completion of independent study contracts. This one, the fiscal impact is about $17,000. The next one here is on instructional materials. So there's a requirement that you hold a public hearing within the first 8 weeks of school on the sufficiency of instructional materials in the district. That meeting did not occur within the first 8 weeks, so that is a finding. The next is on the school accountability and report cards. So each site has a school accountability report card and an underlying facility inspection tool, and those items have to agree to one another, essentially what you're putting out in public related to your school accountability report card, and there were some inconsistencies that we found. There's no fiscal impact to this finding. And then the last one's on charter school attendance. We also have to look at the attendance at the charter schools, and found that there were 2 students there that were improperly marked present when there were other evidence showing that they were absent. Again, the error of that is less than 0.5 ADA, so there's no actual impact to the district's financials for that. Just to conclude my comments, again, the district's financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. There was no federal findings. Again, just want to reiterate that there's a lot that goes into this audit, both working with your fiscal team, but also working with your various school sites, and everybody was very helpful and very timely in providing us the information that we need in order to complete our audit and to be able to, as you can see the last line, file the audit report on time without extension. So I think that's always good news to be able to report that your audit report was submitted on time. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Public comment?
We do not.
Perfect. Any board discussion? Member Kayada.
This question is for our budget officer.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, so in the past, we've talked about rotating audit firms. Where are we for that for next year?
Currently, we have our RFP posted, and in January, we're lining up for interviews. So come first week of February, I believe, board meeting on February 6th, we will be going to the board for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Member Jean?
I mostly just wanted to say I really appreciate that we have such a positive audit. And thank you to all of the hardworking staff that made sure that the information that they needed was gotten to them. And I look forward to making sure we get that public hearing regarding instructional materials on our agenda next time, so we don't accidentally drop the ball on that. That would be a board thing too. So thanks to staff for working so hard, and thanks for your presentation.
All right, this is an informational item, so thank you so much.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to serve the district.
All of the schools and 3 of them. Not a snapshot. They did.
All right, so 11.3, we have our 2024-25 first interim financial report.
3 of them recorded 6 days of attendance oversight, but that's below a 0.5 ADA.
We'll talk. I used to work for attendance and guideline. I know that's not right. But it's good though. I need to do more research on it, but
That's what he said. That's what that said.
I know. All right. You nodded her.
Good evening, President Singh, members of the board, Superintendent Allen, and members of the community. I am Cindy Tao, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. It is my pleasure to present the 24-25 first interim financial report for qualified certification. First, I want to say thank you so much to Christian Ramirez, Interim Director of Budget Services, and her team. So many people contributed to this report, and their time is appreciated. The entire report is available in the board materials and on our website. The board adopted the 24-25 budget earlier this June. This report provides budgeting updates and actual through October 31st to best understand the district's current financial position. Our presentation will provide a summary of the entire report looking at general fund revenues, expenditures, changes to fund balance, and multi-year projections. In tabulating these numbers to present the report tonight, we represent the collective effort of all staff working together to maintain district solvency, stability, and local control. This slide is our district guiding principle with our commitment to equity as the priority lens to our work. This is a list of helpful acronyms for anyone who may not be familiar. Don't get intimidated, it is a lot. This is an overview of the agenda item that we are going to present tonight. This slide is a reminder of the annual budget cycle, which never stops. We're always balancing 3 years at the same time, closing out the prior year, managing and implementing the current year, and planning and developing the next fiscal year. We are currently at the blue arrow, which again is actuals through October 31st and projections, incorporating those actuals through the end of the fiscal year. Note that the LCAP, Local Control Accountability Plan, process and budget process overlaps, as it is specifically intended that our resources are aligned to our goals and our visions. First, we're going to take a look at revenues. Again, these are actual through October 31st and updated projections based on those numbers. About 74% general fund revenues are unrestricted, while 26% are restricted for special purposes such as Title I and special education. Unrestricted funds are largely discretionary, and restricted funds are spent according to specific rules. We receive revenues from 4 primary resources. The largest is 71% being the local control funding formula, also known as LCFF, which is from the state of California. Next, federal provides 7% of district revenue, state at 20%, and local revenue is about 2%. This chart provides an overview of revenue by source at 2 different snapshots in time, at our adopted budget and first interim through the end of October. The total projected revenue for both restricted and unrestricted for fiscal year 24-25 this far is $686 million as for the first interim. There was very little change in revenues overall. This slide provides high-level information on the revenue changes represented in the previous chart to call out some big adjustments for you. Next, I'm going to move to expenditures. About 55% of our general fund expenditures are unrestricted, while 45% are restricted. This chart compares expenditures from the adopted budget in June to first interim in October. While overall changes are minor, increases in services, operating costs, and capital outlay reflects more projects, more equipment purchases, and routine maintenance expenses. This doesn't indicate instability. First, expenditures total is $860 million, which is a 13.2% increase since adopted budget. Looking at the larger changes, you can see here that certificated and classified salaries and benefits increase. This results from the recent negotiation that added 8 instructional days across the district, granting all 12-month employees with 8 extra paid days to be used within the next fiscal 2 years. Next, this is a look at the total general fund contribution for this fiscal year. Contribution occurs when unrestricted general fund revenues must cover excess restricted costs due to insufficient funding for our special programs. As you can see, the contribution to special education increased by $25 million, while the contribution made to the routine restricted maintenance remained constant. This chart shows a comparison of total revenue to total expenditure in our 2 snapshot timeframes. Next, A look at how general fund balance is changing alongside revenue and expenditures total. As you know, fund balance is a projection of the one-time ending balance dollars that are a result of any surplus or deficit of overall budget spending. Finally, let's take a look at the remaining special funds, as well as a multi-year projection update. The district manages 12 funds in addition to the general fund, each with their own rules and restrictions. Across the board, these funds are stable and self-sufficient. They have all positive balance, and there's no need for additional contributions. Next, our interim reports require multi-year projection, which is a look at the current fiscal year plus 2 fiscal years to determine what the certification will be, positive, qualified, or negative. Again, staff is recommending a qualified certification for this evening. While we are experiencing declining enrollment, our financial outlook remains steady. As was mentioned on the previous slide, Sac City, like many districts, utilized the school services dartboard for multi-year COLA projection. Currently, the dartboard still reflects a generous COLA at 2.93%. for 25-26 and 3.08 or lower for 26-27. Let's look at major expenditure assumption in the multi-year projection. For 24-25 and 25-26, we anticipate 1.4% salary increase for teachers and 0.7% for support staff. Steady STRS rate, STRS is constant, a 0.037 rise in PERS rate, and a 0.8% increase in health costs. One-time project finish spending on books, supplies, and services will decrease. These plans reflect our commitment to taking care of our staff while managing resources responsibly. Here's our enrollment. This is the historical enrollment numbers. District enrollment has declined due to falling birth rates and families moving out of state, a trend seen across California. As of October census, enrollment was approximately 37,000, and we're down about 1,100, which is 3% from the previous year. This is just an overview of the multi-year fund balance by the numbers, to sum it up. This chart compares the current year budget with projections for 25-26 and 26-27. While restricted fund balance remained stable, they decreased in 25-26 due to higher expenditures. By 26-27, the balance declines further, driven by increased salaries, benefits, program contribution, and at the end of one-time restricted revenues. The chart also reflects some unrestricted deficit spending, which we'll continue to look at together to address any right-sized needs through a collaborative and transparent progress going forward. Next to present the district right-size planning update is our Chief Business and Operation Officer, Janae Marking.
All right, thank you so much, Cindy. And I apologize right now, I might go a little over time, but I'm gonna go through this as quickly as possible. Good evening again, I'm Janae Marking, Chief Business and Operations Officer. In our time together, I'm going to provide an update on the approved budget right-sizing plan to our newest members of the board. Welcome and congratulations. I have a quick overview of our recent past and the ongoing discussion we have been engaged in regarding the SCUSD budget. So first, we're gonna look back. Don't adjust your monitors. This slide is intentionally a little stark. We are looking back to the years prior to the pandemic. I wasn't here, several people weren't here or were in different positions at the time. There was concern about ongoing expenditure amounts exceeding revenues. In August 2018, the budget was disapproved by Sacramento County Office of Education, and a fiscal advisor was appointed to the district. This was the beginning of several disapproved budgets and a concern about the amount of cash on hand available to pay bills and to cover payroll. Then the COVID-19 pandemic swept the globe in March 2020 and brought hundreds of millions of supplemental dollars to the district for COVID-related support. In the same time frame, in 2018, the Fiscal Crisis Management and Assistance Team, FCMAT, performed a health risk analysis on the district. They found several areas of concern and assessed the district as high risk of insolvency. The next few slides may be familiar, but for a quick review. These are observations I have made since starting in October 2023 and are priority areas of improvement. Number one is budget literacy. People need to know their budgets. This is a multi-year comparison of total revenues and total expenditures going back to 2013-14. The years circled in red, 2017-18, 2018-19, and 2021-22, are the years where expenditures did exceed revenues. This is a similar multi-year comparison. However, the previous slide was actuals. This slide shows more of the forward-looking forecast. And once again, the multi-year projection is showing that without any changes, it is highly likely that the district's revenues will exceed expenditures and threaten solvency. Here you can see a multi-year comparison of ending fund balance as well as the forecasted projection. It is clear that we need to better prioritize spending our restricted dollars, which is represented in the orange, before spending our unrestricted dollars. Last for this section is a look at the comparison between projected ending fund balance and adopted budget and the final ending balance at actuals. So let's talk about what we already have underway. Our right-sizing plan carries that name because we are working to bring our revenues and expenditures into alignment, ideally spending this year's dollars on this year's students while maintaining necessary reserves in fund balance. This is accomplished by finding ways to increase revenues, decrease expenditures, or ideally both. High-level budgeting should first ensure compliance is met, because if not, it can actually cost us more in terms of penalties. Then we have routine operations and then supplemental, which is all done through the lens of LCAP because it establishes the priorities that are most important, accomplishing our stakeholder-informed goals. A few months ago, we in Business Services implemented the Great Reset. Remember this? Well, yes, it was a memo, a rather long memo. Bulletin BS 14 regarding Board Policy 3400 for financial management systems was published to alleviate confusion, establish processes, and significantly reduce the need for exceptions within our system. It has been met with a lot of appreciation for the clarity and support it provides. With the leadership of Christian Ramirez, so much work has gone into rectifying the issues within our position control system that were identified in that FCMAT report. And for the last 12 months, we have been working on a complete redesign of the budget development process for 2025-26 budget. Every department and site leader is engaged with comprehensive allocations of their resources and support to align those to their goals. It is truly a decentralized approach, which to me is the most optimal. I am personally facilitating each meeting with a collaborative team representing multiple departments. So far, the feedback has sounded like, "I've never seen my budget before," or "This process is so great, it's so much better," and even, "Thank you for forcing us to be accountable." The first year is not perfect, it's clunky, but we're learning a lot, and we're doing it together. It will only continue to improve. So right now, our work is about analysis and accuracy. We need to know where we are, what problems exist, so we can continue to resolve them. No part of this process is intended to force reductions on classrooms or leave students without support. The majority of changes from 2024-25 to 2025-26 that will be coming your way are really about removing the items that have been covered with one-time dollars and are now expired. In June, we made these commitments to each other. This is the work that we all have to do together. Janae cannot fix the budget on her own. The number one commitment is to prioritize people, as we are an organization of talent. SCUSD proudly offers competitive salaries and the very generous 100% coverage of benefits, not only for employees, but their families as well. Whether you believe these benefits are a privilege or a right, I am not here to argue that. But we must own that they are expensive. And being so employee-friendly is great, but we also have to balance that with our other costs, like looking at contracts. The complete right-sizing plan was provided in June 2024. I have included this slide as a reminder of the intended revenue and expenditure changes that we are working on within the plan. Okay, we're nearing the end, we're looking ahead. The multi-year projection included in the first interim does not forecast a pleasant future. The deficit spending each year and large negative ending fund balance are attention-grabbing, unsettling, worrisome, and shocking, speaking for myself. But again, it projects that if there are no changes, insolvency is highly likely. However, changes are happening. We are committed to this and we're doing the work. With the new processes and focus on accuracy, you should expect a revised multi-year projection at second interim. This will include updated assumptions as we are bringing our baseline into focus. However, additionally, the multi-year projection will also be updated to show the SEIU agreement that was just approved. And remember, that cost is each year. There are multiple corrective actions in motion related to the district's action plan for our special education program that also need to be added. We are caught up on negotiations and no labor contract is overdue. Yay. However, negotiations for upcoming years are about to begin. This slide provides the escalating amount of the contribution to the special education program. These dollars are contributed from general fund unrestricted dollars because the dollars we receive for special education do not cover all needs. In no way, absolutely no way, is this the fault of students or families that receive these services. Before we wrap up, a few quick notes on AB 1200, the presiding legislation for our financial accountability standards, which includes this reporting period of first interim. It is the intent of AB 1200 that we are working in mutual collaboration with our oversight agency, the Sacramento County Office of Education, to monitor and improve our fiscal conditions. And here I have pulled the language out of Ed Code establishing the definitions of each type of certification for you. As Cindy presented, we are recommending the board approve a qualified certification based upon our current financial reports. Now remember, let's go back to that past history again, just once more for a moment. I will read an excerpt from a letter received from the county office on January 14th, 2020 regarding the district's budget. Quote, based on the multi-year projections and assumptions provided by the district, it appears the district will meet its 2% unrestricted reserve requirement for the current fiscal year and for the first subsequent fiscal year, but will fall short by $11.3 million in 2021-22. We concur with the district's negative certification. I provide this because I think it was important to highlight that yes, in 2020, a negative certification was recommended and approved. However, the multi-year projection in front of you right now is arguably worse than the one described in 2020. Yet, per the definitions in Ed Code 42131, we find our district as objectively qualified for our recommended certification. This is not to blame, shame, devalue, undermine, or judge actions of the past. I'm not sure why it was different. I'm not sure about the determination that was made at that time. But my point is to establish that, per the prior slide, alignment of facts and goals is important in the relationship between us and Sacramento County Office of Education, and this is how staff is operating on behalf of the board. To conclude this update, a reminder that we are working together because we are looking to the future and know it is bright. I don't think a single person in this room, throughout this district, or within our community is willing to sit back and abdicate local control of our district. Nor do I believe that we will fail to do the work that needs to be done. And there is work that needs to be done. It is important to know our past and to learn from it, because shame on us if we repeat it. Also, I know the wake does not drive the boat. The revision of our budgeting systems is surfacing many past practices that we can improve and are already implementing changes for the better. Our multi-year projection tells us we need to act, and that's what we are doing. The revision we will present in the spring may look better, it may look worse, but the accuracy will be improved, and we will continue to be strategic about the right sizing decisions we are making together. We are doing this work, and we will balance the known deficits in our budget. With that, let us conclude that, again, we are recommending a qualified certification to reflect our ability to meet current obligations while also proactively planning for long-term financial stability. That concludes our presentation. I apologize for going over time slightly, but we are happy to engage in any discussion and, again, look for your approval of the certification. Thank you.
That was great.
That was.
That's awesome. That was thorough.
You're great. Public comment. Oh, awesome.
We do not have any.
Okay, perfect. Board discussion.
I'll take that.
Member Jean.
I do have a lot of notes, but you went fast and there's so many slides. So I'm going to try to, I was hoping somebody else would go first. So I'll start, I guess I'll just go from beginning to end. I'll start on slide 21. You talked about the contributions to special education being adjusted on historical trends, et cetera. We know that special education, the fact that, are we at 50% of our general budget, not 50% of our sped budget comes from general ed, or is it less or more?
We'd have to do that calculation
Okay,
for you.
no worries.
But we'd be happy to.
Yeah, just the fact that we know that special education and the funding that we get, IDEA, has never been fully funded from the federal government. That comes from our general funds, et cetera. And considering the deep dive of work that we're doing in our action plan, that will have impact on our budget. So I wanted to verbalize that and say, thank you for using historical trends, but as we're cleaning up and changing in SPED as well, I don't know if historical trends will be our only. Cindy, sorry, Tao. I'm looking at page 22. You mentioned the two COLAs. You mentioned it was generous, and it feels generous after getting 1.07, but I don't know that I would call it generous considering inflation.
Fair.
Right? And how much is, one, our employees are spending on inflation. So while we do offer an excellent package, we know that it's getting hit every year with the costs. And then the looking out in the next years, like, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? And the uncertainty of the budget. So thank you for bringing that to us. I don't have any particular comment or question. I just wanted to comment on that. You projected the benefits at 8.8%. Is that based on trends? Is that based on the current belief? What is it, the thought?
So we meet with our benefits partners and they give us those factors to use.
Are they generally pretty accurate?
They are generally. They work really hard to bring us as accurate as possible because they know the fluctuations are highly impactful to us.
For sure. All right. I can jump all the way forward to slide 30 now. And looking at that, that risk of fiscal insolvency. And that was 2018, that idea and the fact of where are we now. Thank you for bringing in the history. I really appreciate that, having only been here 2 years myself and then having so many new board members. Slide 31, I feel like we went really, really fast here. And you mentioned the budget literacy, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing to start having clear communication, giving people a chance to understand what's going on and the decisions they have to make, and the fact that I heard somebody once say, like, you can have anything you want, you just can't have everything you want. So it's really figuring out what our anything is, what our priorities are, and I appreciate that you're bringing in the more conversations. I appreciate that number 4 talks about the lack of compliance and what's the accountability, because while our audit was very, very good, the small little details in there were really about compliancy and about making sure we understand our systems and wanting to be above board and whatnot. You mentioned unbudgeted expenditures. Are those just as a trend or an observation? Can you just say a little bit more about those?
Absolutely. So my observation is that because we need budget literacy, because people aren't familiar with their budgets, all year long, my office gets constant requests. Can we add this to the budget? 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 And that is very chaotic and results in wide variances between interim reporting periods. So we're really working towards a system where people know their budgets, they bring forward their best plans, and to the best of our ability, like, that is your plan for the upcoming year. And there's not, I don't know where the tree is in the parking lot that has the dollar bills on it, or the chest underground that has the gold bullion. If somebody would show me, that would be great. But we do need to make those plans together, and then to the best of our ability, stick to them. Unexpected things happen, but we shouldn't have unexpected, unbudgeted expenditures every single week, is what that means.
Well, and I really appreciate you bringing that up, the sense of, if our decision-making process is based on who gets there first and the money gets spent, and then your team is the bad guys for saying no to everything, as opposed to, no, we have priorities and we have goals, and how do we align our spending to those, and bring in the people on the school sites and in these different spaces that know those goals and know those needs to make those decisions together. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I appreciated on slide 34 when you mentioned we just need to better prioritize our restricted funds. Is part of your budget literacy making sure everyone understands where those restricted dollars can and should be spent, so as they're making decisions, they can include that?
Absolutely. And ensuring those dollars are spent first.
Yes, super important, especially because there's parts of use them or lose them. I don't remember which slide it was on. I think this was part of what you were presenting, Cindy. You put a lot of like different funds that are coming in. How many more one-time dollars? Like, are we pretty much up? I know ESSER's been spent for the most part. Is there anything else that's expiring soon?
Yes, we have the Arts and Materials Block Grant, which I believe ends 26.
26, 27.
26, 27, Learning Recovery Block Grant. However, we've really prioritized using our Learning Recovery Block Grant to cover the cost of the additional 8 instructional days this year and next year, because that is on the eligibility list of how to spend that. Extra instructional time is the very first at the top, so it seemed like a really nice alignment and use of those dollars.
That's fantastic. Because I know that in the spring, we're going to have some conversations around those ESSER positions and ESSER-funded things that it's going to be a tough conversation for all of us. I'm on now slide 40 with the Great Reset. You mentioned it was Board Policy 3400?
Yes.
And bulletin, you called it something that they were appreciating.
We name our bulletin, or we number our bulletins, so this one in particular was Bulletin BS 14.
What does BS stand for? Just curious.
Business Services Bulletin.
That makes more sense, but BS is, let's BS this.
Yes.
Sorry, folks. A little bit of laughter.
It is the thing that goes along with being business services.
Yeah. I wanted to emphasize yet again, and I know you spent a little bit of time on this slide as well, this Great Reset. If I'm thinking about the little bit of history I know and the fact that the district was close to insolvency, I cannot speak or judge to that. I have no idea. But I know being an educator in 2020 and 2021 with ESSER funds and these amazing resources coming to districts and funding us in ways that we've all been aching for, there was almost this element of like, how do we spend this and where do we spend this, because we're not used to having so much. And now we're in that tough place of those monies have been spent and that well has dried up. And now we've really got to figure out what makes a strong budget in Sac City.
Yes.
And I'm excited to be a part of the board that gets to do the work with you, because this Great Reset is going to be all of us. So thank you for continuing to keep us informed. And as you mentioned, board policy, on a side note, we've started talking about how many board policies we need to update. At CSBA, I went to a great training and I've got some ideas and I'm excited to do that, because part of our board policy needs to make sure we're clarifying our vision so that the district can set goals so that the money can be spent to make those vision and goals happen. So thank you for this Great Reset, and I'm in for it.
Thank you.
Slide 41, just the fact that this is redesigning and decentralizing these decisions. I'm assuming the decentralizing comes from like, hey, folks, those are your budgets and you're the experts and you need to decide. It's not on us to be the overseer. This is what you've got and send it.
Well, and I, for
yes.
sure, am not an expert on the best thing for academic programs, right? Like, I depend upon my colleagues in academic programs at sites to determine what that is.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly.
Sorry to cut you off.
Super, super important. Slide 42. I really love that last fifth statement on there. We are an organization of talent. Just to hear the idea that we're about supporting our experts who spend their lives dedicated in their classrooms and in the school buses and cafeterias and offices and school campuses and all the amazing learning spaces that we have, that talent and that expertise it's about collaborating all together and aligning together, because our students deserve the best from us in that. And aligning our resources is super, super important. The last thing, like I said, I'm sorry, it's just lots and lots of notes.
No, I love it.
Going to the reporting cycle, slide 46, and thank you to whoever is quickly going through all those. You just mentioned if there are no changes, we're headed the same way. And it kind of dawned on me that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing. So again, I just want to reiterate, I so appreciate this idea that we are resetting, we are reanalyzing our budget, we are considering our history and looking to the future, because if we don't make those changes, similar to what we need to do in SPED and are beginning to do in SPED with our action plan, that all has to happen in collaboration for us to give them the education they completely deserve.
Well said.
So with that, the last slide, it was your last slide. It doesn't have a number on it. It's 51. Going on Back to the Future felt really, really apropos. Like we're looking back, we're in the future. It was beautiful. And learning from our past, But knowing that on our spring, as we get more details, because it's always a moving target with our assumptions, it may look better or worse, but I want to say I'm in it with you guys, and thank you for all your work. And I apologize that I took up all the board time for my comments. I just had a lot of thoughts. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Member Jean. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I think you asked all the questions that all of us were definitely thinking.
Michael Benjamin?
You back on?
Sure. All right, so
Mr.
sorry,
Benjamin.
I was on, then I was off, but I want to say that the power in this, we went to the CSBA training. To me, it lies within, and I love it, first of all, very great job. But slides 40 through 40 and 41 especially, when you consider a great reset, I like the process of educating on processes, because I find that a lot of times people get kind of, upset with the process when the transparency is not there, right? And so it is the language, right? It's a lot of acronyms and things of that nature. And then I really am very impressed with this budget development process on page 41. I think that although we're talking about budgets, this is something that can be used throughout the district when we talk about, how to put together processes for a lot of programming, right? It contains words like holistic, transparent, and then at the end it says strategic alignment of resources. And so I think that all three of those feed into, how we align and come to, an agreement about things. And so I just wanted to make a comment and say that I was very impressed with that, and I look forward to seeing how this pans out.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any other comments? This is an action item, so we'll need a motion. Member Rhodes moves. Anybody second?
I'll second.
All right. We'll start with the student preferential vote.
Aye. Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada? Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Navarro?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Ibarra?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you. Great job.
All right, next up we have item 11.4, special education update. Ms. Wright, Ms. Bryant, Mr. Linares, Ms. Finley, Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, Board President Singh, members of the board, and Superintendent Allen. I am very pleased to introduce this evening's special education update and the dedicated team members, Becky Bryant, Interim Assistant Superintendent of Special Education, Giovanni Linares, SELPA Director, Erin Finley, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, and Dr. Iris Taylor, Consultant, who have joined me tonight to present and answer questions that you may have. But before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the exceptional leadership currently guiding our special education department. We are fortunate to have three experienced and deeply knowledgeable professionals supporting our efforts. I want to bring to your attention Becky Bryant, who previously served as Director of Special Education. She has returned on a temporary basis to fill a critical vacancy and ensure continuity of services and supports for our students. Additionally, Dr. Iris Taylor, our former Chief Academic Officer, is also contributing her extensive expertise, focusing on special projects in an interim capacity. Both bring a wealth of experience and unwavering commitment to improving outcomes for students with disabilities and their families. With their guidance, our department continues to maintain stability and work diligently to meet every child's needs. This evening, we will share updates on our key initiatives, highlight improvements we have implemented this year, and discuss our ongoing strategies to enhance the delivery of special education services throughout the district. We welcome your questions and look forward to a productive conversation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Becky Bryant.
Good evening, board members and superintendent. As always, we use this slide to ground our work in everything that we do. We've also provided you tonight to get started a list of acronyms that you will often see or hear when you're reading about special education or the services that we provide. Tonight, we are going to include our vision for special education going forward, an overview of the department and the SELPA responsibilities, how we are organized, who we serve and how we serve them, an overview of our students' performance and progress, and of course, as always, our highlights, our challenges, and our opportunities. When Dr. Taylor and I arrived in September, we found that last year there was a grand jury report. There are also the BPSB settlement, and then the subsequent action plan had just been developed and voted on. There was a notification by CDE of continued noncompliance that triggered California Department of Education and a technical assistance provider to come into the district to assist us. As we move forward, a vision has been developed that will be part of our systemic improvement work, and it is as follows. We support students with disabilities with a focus on Black and African American students with disabilities in an environment where they are seen, understood, celebrated, and experience joy within every SCUSD school. We will ensure that every student, regardless of their background, is given an equal opportunity for success, grows academically and social-emotionally, and to foster an inclusive community that values diversity and promotes equity for all. The special education department responsibilities include many things. We identify and evaluate students to determine their eligibility for special education. We develop and implement their individual education plans. We provide direct instruction and related services. We support inclusive practices. We encourage and work to increase our family engagement, and we collaborate with community agencies. We continue and always are collecting, analyzing, and managing data for our accountability and continuous improvement. Gio is going to now explain, Mr. Linares, our important work of the SELPA and how it aligns to the work within the department and the larger district as a whole.
Perfect. Thank you. So in strong partnership with the special education department, the SELPA is working to more integrate special education work into our MTSS framework. And we're going to do that in a number of different ways. One of them is going to be to take a very strategic approach to the way that we develop our local plan. So the local plan is the roadmap for how special education services are provided within SCUSD. And obviously through that MTSS lens, we have to now embody what Becky's talking about, that inclusivity, right? That access to typically developing peers, to general education environments and curriculum. So that's one way that we're going to do that. We're also going to focus on the integration of the BPSB action plan within that MTSS framework, within those things that we do on a daily basis. So it's not seen as simply a compliance measure, but rather the way that we do business in supporting students day in and day out. Hopefully that highlights for you the presentation that Dr. Peters did last month. Other key responsibilities within the SELPA is to provide technical assistance on compliance issues, coordinating that BPSB action plan, overseeing and supporting the alternative dispute resolution supports, as well as non-public school and non-public agency operations. Additionally, the SELPA supports legal processes and professional learning initiatives. And then we foster community engagement through the support of our Community Advisory Committee, or CAC. And a number of you were at our holiday mixer this week, which was a raging success, 200 people in this room. Thank you, Santa. And so that's just some of the responsibilities that the SELPA takes on. I'm going to turn it back over to Becky to start.
So our organizational structure is such that we are led by our Chief Academic Officer. The department is staffed with an Assistant Superintendent of Special Education and 4 administrators of teaching and learning support the work of the department responsibilities. Then in the SELPA director and his staff consist of an additional administrator of teaching and learning specific to SELPA activities and 2 board-certified behavior analysts that support the work of the SELPA. So we also have many other individuals that support our students throughout the district. And there are a large number of folks that are part of this system, and this slide represents our village of people that help to support and provide students and supports to our students throughout the district. Some of our central staff, both administrative and our administrative support staff, are here in the audience tonight. Thank you for all you do on behalf of our students. We appreciate you very much. The population of students that we serve is very diverse. This slide represents our total students with disabilities and their race or ethnicity. In addition, a percentage of our students are also English learners and/or socioeconomically disadvantaged. You will hear the term disproportionality, which is a calculation of how the percent of enrollment in the district breaks down by race, ethnicity, and how that compares to the percent of students with disabilities by their race or ethnicity. The percentage of students with disabilities in each group should be proportionate to the total district percentage. Of concern in this slide is the proportion of Black and African American students to the percentage of district enrolled students. It's disproportionately higher currently. There are 13 federal categories of disabilities, and they're listed here with our current numbers of students in each of the categories. Our total eligible students currently across the district is 7,287. The 4 largest categories of disability areas, classifications that we serve are specific learning disability, speech and language delays, autism, and other health impairment. As a further illustration of where our students receive their services, we serve students in all different types of settings: general education, inclusive settings, resource specialist programs, special day classes, non-public schools, which are special day classes not on comprehensive campuses, and in some cases, residential treatment programs. We also have students that we serve beyond the age of 18 through the age of 21 in our adult transition programs.
Perfect. So I'm going to take us a little deeper dive into some of that data, into some of those environments where we serve students. So as Becky mentioned, we're working with a technical assistance facilitator. Her name is Jasmine Vance, and she works out of the Systems Improvement Leads. It's a grant out of CDE, and she, through Systems Improvement Leads, has introduced us to a really fabulous tool called the Data Drill Down tool, which is an opportunity for us to take that data that we usually get at the end of the year and be able to run reports throughout the year to kind of see how we're doing in those indicators that we get evaluated on at the end of the year. So in here, we're going to focus on LRE, least restrictive environment. And so that's broken down into 3 different areas. It's the percentage of students 80% or more in general education. And so the last official report that we got was from 22-23 and showed that about 60.5% of our students who have special education services are being educated with their typically developing peers 80% or more. The statewide target that year was 62%. With this cool tool that we have access to now, we can see what 24-25's goal is going to be, and we can see how we're doing right now. So as of December 11th, 2024, we know that the statewide target for the state is going to be 67%, and we are at 66.44. So we are right there to that statewide target. So in a very similar fashion with 5C in separate schools, we are trending in the right direction. We're trending up in more inclusive practices. We're trending down in separate schools. Those are the areas that we would want to see. And we're very, very close when it comes to that mid-year report, when it comes to separate schools as well. This is an opportunity for us to have conversations within the department and across the department in that MTSS framework to how do we continue to build that inclusivity, those inclusive learning environments, so we not only meet that target, but we exceed that target. How can we support students who are at separate schools and help bring them back into a learning environment with their neighborhood friends, with their typically developing peers, in order to meet that target as well. But we know that that's not just these folks here. It includes everyone, as been the theme this evening, which is we're all need to be collaborating and in alignment together. All right, additionally, I will go over some quick information regarding our data dashboard, our school dashboard. So overall performance, we're seeing mixed results across key performance indicators. There continues to be a need to focus on improvements in academics, particularly in English, language arts, and mathematics, but we're making progress in reducing chronic absenteeism. But graduation rates still remain a concern. So both English language arts and math scores are below the statewide average, and we need to focus on strategies to improve student learning and achievement in these core subjects. But we know that that happens, as we saw, as we increase inclusive opportunities. That means that we need to be better partnering with our general education partners so that we know how to support students in that environment with those strategies that will help them have their English and math scores go up. Graduation rate is below the statewide average, and we need to work on identifying and addressing barriers that exist out there. We need to know what is going on with our students that are keeping them from graduating. We should be working on cross-departmental collaboration to address access and opportunities, as well as expand our opportunities to alternative pathways to a diploma.
Okay, so good evening, Board President Singh, board members, and Superintendent Allen. I'm going to close us out by providing you with some highlights of some of the work that has been underway in the department, as well as some of the challenges and the opportunities. One of the highlights includes the expansion of our district-wide professional learning on compassionate dialogue. And the expansion is within the special education leadership team. It has been a powerful opportunity for department and SELPA leaders to collaborate and learn together to build a strong special education team and to learn protocols for collaborative work within as well as outside of the special education department. Another highlight is the SELPA's publication of a quick resource guide for site leaders with timely and relevant topics, and it's received positive early reviews. In addition, the department and SELPA are working together on developing a series of SPED-specific professional learning for site leaders that will begin in February. That will focus on topics within the guide, the resource guide, such as child find, manifestation of determination, effective IEP team processes, and analyzing their SPED data. We have heard from principals that it's been a while since they've had SPED-specific professional learning. Furthermore, we have had some very effective collaboration with our labor partners, and we really appreciate the partnership. This has resulted in work with SETA on new and revised position descriptions, stopgap measures to address our speech and psychology vacancies and challenges, an MOU around compensatory education. We're really excited that our compensatory education services will be provided by our staff. And our BPSB equity walks, recent, hot off the press, MOU signed, so those equity walks can continue. SEIU and SETA have also been working with us around just getting, vacancies are a challenge within the department. When we have vacancies, we have to contract out, and so just working with us around our contracting out processes. All right, there's always challenges, and so just to highlight a few, as I mentioned before, staffing shortages, and that's not unique to Sac City, but staffing shortages in special education is a serious challenge. Also increases in assessment requests and increasing caseloads within our special education department. always focused on equity and inclusion and concerned about equity and inclusion, as Dr. Linares, I'm promoting you, Jill, as Mr. Linares has outlined. Those are continuous areas of challenge. And then, of course, legal filings and settlement. We spoke to you about CDE compliance complaints. And then, although listed as a challenge, it's also an opportunity, the Black Parallel School Board implementation, just because of the magnitude of the action plan, as well as the strict timelines. So as I mentioned, staffing shortages, this is just from our a highlight of where are some of our shortages in staffing within the department, but I do have good news to share with you that as recently as last Friday, we had a recruitment fair for special education, and it yielded. We can reduce some of these numbers, 6 teachers for special education, 12 instructional aides, and 13 substitute clerical and custodial staff. And so we just want to thank our human resources partners, our labor partners who showed up and really supported that effort. All right, so with every challenge, and we view it this way, is an opportunity. Behind every challenge is an opportunity to learn, and to improve. And so we've established through our work with systems improvement leads, just these 4 focus areas that have come out of the challenges that we've experienced. And so the first is around reducing the number of CDE compliance complaints through a focused approach to tracking those complaints, not only tracking the complaints, but our time to completion of those complaints with regular periods of review among our special education department leaders. And doing that on a weekly basis with our administrators of teaching and learning. The second is around paying closer attention to how our students with disabilities are performing academically through semester and trimester reviews of our grade reporting. And then the third is around establishing clear processes for assessing and determining eligibility for our special education services by conducting IEP audits to see the alignment between goals and assessment reports. And then finally, focusing on our daily functioning processes. We have many to focus on, to standardize, but we have honed in on one, which is our independent educational evaluations process, born out of a CDE complaint, but to better define the process, ensure it's known by all, and then tracking and assessing our process breakdowns. Okay, this is definitely not the only work, so to give you some more opportunities for future work. Again, the Black Parallel School Board implementation plan, and I'm not going to list all of these, but highlight the revision of the position descriptions. We have position descriptions that are like decades old, and so they need to be revised and clarified. Continue to establishing process clarifications. Budget development is underway. You just heard the first interim report. Departments as well as sites are going through budget development in January. And then additional work, ESY is coming up. So there's a lot of planning going on around our extended school year summer program for students with disabilities. And then our SELPA curriculum audits. We're just to ensure that the curriculum that we're providing for our students with disabilities is as robust as the curriculum that we are providing for our general education students. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Yvonne Wright to talk about the relationship of MTSS to this work.
As we continue our efforts to strengthen supports and improve outcomes for our students with disabilities, in particular Black and African American students with disabilities, it is really critical that our work aligns seamlessly with the district's larger initiatives, including the development of a robust, multi-tiered system of supports framework. In February of 2024, the board approved an MOU that included the installation of an MTSS design team composed of teachers, site leaders, central office staff, and SCTA leadership to create a forum for open dialogue and strategic planning around establishing a district-wide multi-tiered system of supports to be implemented at all school sites. This group began meeting last spring and continued to collaborate to build the framework. We are looking forward to sharing a full MTSS design team update with you in the new year. Sharing a full MTSS design team update with you. But for now, we want to highlight that our ongoing MTSS design work addresses multiple directives and actions within the BPS, the Black Parallel School Board Action Plan. While the MTSS design team is responsible for the design of the framework and the district is responsible for the implementation of the framework, the BPSB Action Plan provides critical expectations that help guide our work in the service of our Black students with disabilities. On this slide, you can see the general areas of alignment of the action plan with our MTSS work, with the bold items indicating recent updates. Specifically, since the November BPSB action plan update, our district team and SCTA leadership have collaborated to develop a job description for 83 elementary reading intervention teachers jointly and agreed to this last month. There was a request for additional FTE to meet the 500 to 1 psychologist ratio and to agree to an MOU to outline and resume the site-based equity walks. And last, to discuss the consolidation and process for the cultural proficiency and staff capacity surveys. And with that, we can go to comments or questions.
Brian, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do have one speaker. We have David Fisher with 2 cards for a total of 4 minutes.
All right.
Good evening again. I'm David Fisher, First Vice President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. So it's appropriate that this item is coming before the board on the first official meeting of the new SUSD school board. You know, it's no secret that work in special education has been one of our focuses and has a great potential for improvement. So just like our SCTA equity shirt says, all means all, and of course that includes students with disabilities. By the way, these are for sale for $20 for our scholarship committee, if anybody's interested. So the work that we've begun with the district are highlighted here, and you've heard some of it already this evening. Now, first, as you just heard, we've been working on developing a state-of-the-art MTSS program, something long overdue here in Sac City, and one that we expect to be fully resourced with trained staff to provide intervention necessary for all students. Second, we've been trying to address the shortage of educators in special education, particularly speech and language pathologists. That's why we agreed to an extra 6% salary increase for those hard-to-fill positions. Additionally, we've been working with Dr. Tiffany Smith-Simmons and her HR team to recruit and hire staff, especially special education practitioners, and including instructional aides represented by SEIU. Third, as part of our settlement around the waiver, we reached an agreement to add 83 reading intervention teachers throughout the district, with 1 at every elementary school and 2 at those schools with higher needs. Fourth, in our last contract settlement, we agreed to lower class sizes in grades 4 through 6 this year and secondary beginning next year. Fifth, after a little bit of a rocky start, the district, through the leadership of Iris Taylor, Becky Bryant, Yvonne Wright, and Kansi McCarn, have finally engaged in how to begin the implementation of the Black Parallel School Board Action Plan approved by the school board earlier this school year. We've already reached an agreement on a couple issues, including the equity walks that you heard about earlier. We expect this will generate a lot of goodwill and momentum as we address the larger, more complicated issues going forward. These various and overlapping paths, several areas where multiple discussions are already underway, will converge with our contract negotiations, which begin on February 4th. So as I stated earlier, there's a tremendous feeling of optimism, but we know we have a lot of work to do. We have a sort of a generational opportunity to set our students up for long-term success, and we can't wait to continue this work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Board discussion. Student member, go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. I really liked the vision statement, including the students with disabilities are seen, understood, celebrated, and experience joy. But I did have a question on it. You guys talked a little bit about professional development and ensuring that these students are being seen, understood, and celebrated by staff. But I'm curious if there's any actions being taken currently to kind of foster this like welcoming, I guess, atmosphere amongst general education students in like doing something similar with the general education population.
Summer PL that took place for Gen Ed especially. For students and for teachers. I don't understand. Let me just respond, or try to respond. So currently, I would say that the work is being done in, different school sites have different initiatives and processes, but system-wide, not yet. Okay, so that, when we talked about inclusion and inclusion and equity, that would be a part of our future work that we want to do. There's work that's happening at individual school sites around inclusive practices and creating those inclusive environments, as well as around PBIS, which is also a model for positive discipline, but system-wide is where we want to get to, where those things are happening, and it's a guarantee in every school site. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to share, I guess, my perspective as a general education student, because I think when I think of how my peers see students with disabilities, I don't think I would use the words seen, understood, or celebrated, and I think that's really an opportunity and a place we have like room for growth. And I'd love to see, I guess, just like more standardization of ensuring that like general education students and special education students are interacting with each other, and actively like being made to interact in both like understand and kind of celebrating each other.
I'd like to just offer a little bit there. Good evening, everyone. So a couple of approaches as far as this is concerned is our universal supports around culture and climate, and how we are supporting our teachers, our administrators, and our students to build environments that all students feel like they belong and are included. And so every month, our culture and climate team distributes resources that are to be used with students and with adults, and a number of those focus on the rightful presence of students with disabilities in the general ed learning environment. We are also working with Supporting Inclusive Practices, which is a statewide organization. Kevin Schaefer and Janelle Mercado are working directly with our culture and climate team on how to promote the rightful presence of students with disabilities in our classrooms across the district. And so, like Dr. Taylor said, there are a lot of approaches being taken at individual sites, but I would also offer that the district-wide approach is about those tier one universal supports that we're providing to all students through those culture and climate resources right now.
Okay, thank you.
Member Kayada.
So I have a couple comments and questions, and I want to preface it by saying that I do appreciate this presentation. I appreciate, obviously, the hard work that you put into giving us this information and developing these plans. I also won't belabor us with, my family's experience and my feelings about special education generally, which I've relayed on many occasions. But, I think this plan to me feels iterative, and I don't yet have the confidence that this is what we need to overcome this, which I think is one of the top challenges in our district. I'm struck by our previous presentation by Ms. Marking and her team about the Great Reset and really reimagining the culture of our fairnesses, right? That's what I'm looking for special education. It's not continuing to chip away at what we've been working at for the past 20 years. It's a complete reimagination. I do get a sense that there is an attempt to do that with the Vision 2.5. I don't want to criticize the vision, but I will say it seems to be lacking a few things that I think are necessary to represent a cultural reset rather than an improvement to existing practices. First of all, it doesn't mention general ed students with disabilities or general ed students who have services. It talks about them still as special education students. And as long as we keep thinking about special education students and general education students, we're never going to have the cohesion. They're never going to be fully welcomed into our schools. And they won't also have their needs fully met. Also lacking there was a mention of providing students with the services they need on a timely basis. Because again, special education is not a place you send kids, it's not a place they go, and it's not a label they carry. It's a series of services that they get because of their disability, but they are first and foremost general education students. So, whether or not that's in the vision, I really want that to be something that, as an entire school district, every single person in the district, when we look at a special education student, they're not a special education student. Here's a student that's getting a particular set of services, and we're going to make sure we identify those services. The other thing that, I think also is a cultural change for us is to stop being responsive to litigation. Black Parallel School Board, while that's 100% necessary for us to focus on right now and addresses something we really need to do, it's representative of a district's approach to special education that relies on complaints that rise to the level where we have liability. We should be, of course, responsive to that, but we need to focus on fixing the system. And we've already been working on this for several years. There's been real efforts made that are not unnoticed, but we continue in closed session to get these similar things. We're chipping away at the block. They're maybe not as egregious as they used to be, but we're still missing kind of the big picture of reimagining how we approach these students in order to address their needs, because families aren't going to go seek out lawyers if their needs are being met. They start worrying about the nitpicking details of us violating the law. People are not looking to get money from us for their kids. They're looking to get their kids their services. So, I'm not trying to say this in a way that I'm criticizing anyone, because I know that I'm in a lot of ways speaking to the choir, but I just want that to be where we lead from, what drives us in our work. So I do have a couple questions. So I'm wondering about what specific programs we offer to support students and teachers to get this from the district level really down to all staff. And I'm looking for more than, kind of like a monthly update. Like what can we do, and what improvements do we need, and what can the board do to support that, to get this information down to staff?
So first, I wanted to just say I appreciate the comments about that students are general education first and foremost. And a part of the presentation was, a small portion of it was about MTSS. And we had some conversation about whether or not we wanted to introduce that in this presentation, because MTSS is not about special education. It is about how do we best serve all students? And we've placed it there for that very reason. When we provide support for students, and that's all students, in a timely way, at the time in which they need it, then we will actualize for students our goal, and that is to ensure that every student, and that is students who receive special education services as well, the timely support that they need when they need it, we will probably reduce the number of referrals into special education that will impact disproportionate numbers of students that are identified in special education. And that's why we put that there. And so we would accomplish some of the goals of the Black Parallel School Board actions, so that where kids are getting the supports that they need in a timely way. Thus, we will impact some of the outcomes that are happening in special education that we don't want, right? Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to say that, because that isn't something that we have done in the past in Sac City. So implementing a framework and a structure for a multi-tiered system of supports for academics, social, emotional, and behavior for students, a tier 1, 2, and 3 system of supports for students. So I just wanted to say that. The other is that planning a system of professional learning. We can't do everything at one time, but we're going to ensure that educators on the ground will have a system of professional learning, a multi-year system of professional learning, timely so that they get the resources, the strategies, interventions that they need. Where every school site has a way to receive those supports and the professional learning that they need to be able to do this work.
And can I add to that?
Sure.
I think what we're seeing and what we're learning is that that work, that development of that professional learning has to be done with our teachers, with our instructional aides. Those who are receiving the services, who are providing the services, have to be a core part of the development of what that looks like. And that just means more ongoing collaboration with our labor partners so that it's professional learning that is not just sit and get or drive by and that doesn't take, where we're expending a lot of funding on professional learning, but professional learning that actually sticks. That's what we need.
Thank you, and I will hold you to that. Okay, just a couple more questions, and I'm still processing what you said, so I do appreciate it, but I'm not going to follow up because I'm thinking about it. Thank you. In terms of, and this maybe is a question for our next update, but in terms of where and how our students are being served, I would like to maybe get some sense of that data. Are they being served in non-public schools? Are they at their home school? Do they have to be transported somewhere? Do we change their home school? Like some sort of a detail on the profile of a special education student. And when I talk about profile, I also really want to see it by the demographic categories that we have here. So I want to know, for example, are Black students being sent to non-public schools and some other group are able to get the services at their school? If that's something that's happening, we need to know that. Yeah. So I guess that wasn't a question, a comment. And then, so one more question. Do we have an update on our progress on getting contracting under control? I know that, we have hiring challenges, which you mentioned in your presentation, but what are we doing to get more SLPs and aides in the district? And kind of what's the status of the contracts generally? And I know we've got this in BC, so this is more for public knowledge.
Yes, so I'm going to ask a clarifying question. So when you say the status of the contracting, can you just expand on that a little bit?
So kind of, what's our progress towards bringing these services in-house? Okay. And are we winnowing down the number of contractors we're using?
Yes, okay. So, this all ties back to what I said earlier about just the vacancies, right? And just the huge number of vacancies. And Mr. Fisher mentioned speech in particular as an area where it's not a vacancy that is unique to Sac City, it's a vacancy that is across the nation where there's a shortage of speech specialists. So just some of the recruitment efforts that are underway, right? We have a team that is going to, help me, Kasha, which is a big California conference of speech educators. And so, one of the plans is for us to send our own people. Our speech specialists talk about how when they were there last year, people were coming up to them and talking to them, and that they were a strong draw for folks at that conference. In addition to that, we are looking at things like, how do we get the word out about the work of Sac City and the how great it is to work in Sac City, and they are the best people to sell that story, right? And so part of it is the collaboration with our speech specialists supporting that work around recruitment. We've hired, I think, 2 or 3, and this is going to sound piddly because we need so many, but 2 to 3, even within the last couple of months, we brought on new speech specialists. I think one of our areas of work is to be able to identify those people and get them onboarded faster, right? So that they can begin working with our students. In terms of the contracting, our goal is ultimately to have our own staff in every area where we're understaffed. And so it is as we bring people on, we decrease our contracts, right? So it's kind of a push and pull, but it's just a very slow push and pull.
Okay, I really appreciate that, and just want to make sure you know that that's not a trick question. I really want to know because the same thing I said to the independent monitor. If there's a challenge and the solution is not something that's going to change overnight, at least tell us and ask us for what policy direction you need, because I know not all these are easy solutions, and if there was one thing we could do, we would have done it already. So let's acknowledge, be clear with ourselves and with our public what our challenges are, and we're going to work on them together. That's why I'm here. I'm here to support you, even though sometimes it might seem like I'm more angry than helpful, but this is something that needs to be done, so I appreciate the work and looking forward to future updates.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Jean.
I'll keep it quick because as you responded to Member Kayada, you addressed what I was thinking about. I first want to say I really appreciate you talking about the magnitude of the action plan and the depth of work it's going to take to do this, and that all of us have to do this together. I really appreciate the organizational structure. One of the things I've just had a hard time is getting my head around our special education department, and so it's wonderful just to be like, okay, there are the employees that we have, and I appreciate Member Kayada's request of like, can we also start seeing how the students are a part of that? I think that's a great next step for just helping us understand the magnitude of the work that you all are doing in this. I really appreciate the collaboration, and thank you, David, for bringing up the work that SCTA is doing and that we're working together to make this happen. I appreciated the mention of cross-departmental, how important this is that it is gen ed students and that receive additional services, and that if we're siloed, that's not going to solve problems. And so I appreciate that cross-departmental work is happening. As I was on slide 21 and looking at the particularly collaboration with the SELPA on professional learning and with SCTA around and SCIU and contracting services and all these different layers. You mentioned the specific training for special education lead teams right now, and my question was, how is that intended to trickle down, so to speak, to the teachers and the paraprofessionals that are really the first contact of any students coming, general education students and special education students, and you mentioned how they need to be part of the core development, and you mentioned bargaining. Yvonne, you mentioned that each site needs to have very specific access where they know where they're getting the help and the support, and so because we're at time, I'll say I'm interested in continuing to hear how we're making that happen.
Yes.
It sounds like you have goals and plans. I just want to hear that I'll echo Member Kayada, like, we're going to hold you to this. We're here to make this work together. So,
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Member Benjamin.
Yeah, so first of all, let me say thank you for your work. Within the district, I've worked as a instructional aide in the special education classroom, right? A reading interventionist and an IEP specialist, right? And so I know how hard it is. And until you've kind of walked that, you kind of don't, it's tough, right? Let me say this about your vision. I actually like the vision. I mean, things can be, massaged as things go, but I really do like the vision. I think it encompasses everything that we need to address, especially pertaining to special education. In my opinion, and I look at things a little bit different, in my opinion, it kind of does speak to general ed students as well when it says, we ensure that every student, regardless of their background. When we say that, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily, a special ed, it can be general ed background as well. So I think that that's good. A question I'd have, though, is I was on page 7, slide 7, I'm sorry. Special education department responsibilities. One of the responsibilities says facilitating family engagement, collaborating with external agencies. Those external agencies, do they include community benefits organizations in the neighborhood? And the reason why I'm saying that is that's probably the best place to capture some of your instructional aides, right? These community benefit organizations where students are going after school, right? And spending time with these community organizations that are providing, outside resources, right? That'd be a really good place to capture some of them. They're already working with the students in the community, right? They're working closely to the school, probably not with the school, but I think my question would be, how does that look in terms of special education department responsibilities? How do you facilitate the family engagement, the collaboration, and Can you give us examples of what the external agencies might look like?
Well, between the department and the SELPA as a whole, the way that the SELPA is built is around community collaboration and input. So engagement with the families, engagement with agencies that serve families like Alta Regional Center, Warmline, California Children's Services, a multitude of state community agencies where part of what the SELPA does is build those relationships and bring them into the district for us to partner with. Could we do more than we're doing right now? Absolutely.
I think you're speaking more to like community-based organizations. Yes, okay.
I'm sorry. And so my next question was, can we get a list of those external agencies, right? I think external, I put a comment here, external, but I put community in parentheses, right? Because I think that that's a space that's important when we look to, especially in the special education, community for our kids is they're working with these outside community agencies that are working close proximity into the area that they're in, right? And so I was an instructional aide who worked closely with my community, so I've seen a lot of my students outside of the school setting, and it made a difference. So I don't know if that's a consideration, but that's something I'd like to explore.
Thank you for that.
All right, Member Ibarra.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very informative. I have a couple of questions, less than I had when I started because they asked a lot of them. The first thing I want to address is on page 7 and 8, when you reference kind of going based off of what he was talking about, the family engagement piece. It's also referenced, I just said that on both pages. Anyway, so what does that look like is something that, like in the future, not tonight, right? Like I would like to see, because when I think in terms of family engagement, and I think of this lawsuit that we're trying to make right? I'm thinking high impact family engagement. So what does that look like? Because family engagement is broad, right? And so if we really want to make change, we have to look at, as a district, what practices are we using outside of just saying engaging families. So that's the first comment that I have. I have a question on page 8 when you reference technical assistance and facilitation of compliance items, what that looks like. And that's more so from a parent standpoint, like from a parent perspective, as a parent with a child with an IEP, understanding what that means, I think, is important, because oftentimes miscommunication can be perceived as there's no transparency, and really it's just the communication was off. So I think that's key as we're trying to repair and make amends with the things we want to correct, right? So just things to be conscious of. And again, I don't expect any answers tonight, so if you want me to slow down and let you talk, you can. But I'm just trying to get through the motions so that we're not here a whole lot longer. Anyways, so page 11, when you're talking about it takes a village, and I see all of this list here, what also comes to mind for me is that having a child with an IEP is challenging, but you really don't know what the challenges are like until you get it to high school, because of the dynamic of who needs to be inside of that IEP meeting, right? And so based off of that, I've had an opportunity to speak to several different teachers throughout the last 3 years. And so when I see all of these listed, but I hear teachers often talk about the lack of being met with co-teaching when it's requested either by the family or by the staff, what that looks like when I look at this list. So that's something else to kind of think about. And then in this process, there's no page specific. When I'm thinking about the lawsuit with Black Parallel Schools, I would like to know and just a yes or no answer will suffice. Are you all talking to students who are affected by this? Like Black students, Black male students, right? Because they're the ones that are being most affected by this. And so if you are talking to them, was it like empathy interviews? Was it surveys, like what that would look like? And then I'll let you answer that if you want before I move on to the last two things I have to say. I don't know if you want to address that one, that part.
So for the development of the action plan, there were definitely surveys and empathy interviews done with students. Aspects of the action plan as actions we have to move forward with include empathy interviews as well, but they also include experience surveys for families as well as students, secondary students in particular. And so the development of those surveys are currently in the process. We've submitted them to our independent monitor. He's reviewing them, giving feedback in order for us to then disseminate them across the system.
Okay. And are the students able to give that information without a parent being in the room?
Yes.
Or like it's not a family thing where you're like asking them together?
It will go to both. It'll go
separately.
Yeah, separately.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, and then on page 17, oh no, I already asked that question, sorry. On page 22, when we're talking about staffing shortages and increasing caseloads, I just want to highlight that on page 26, when you see the action for reducing the psychologist-student ratio to 500-1, I want to say that that's actually really good because you kept it, right? I went right away to check and see what CDE's recommendation was, and you're right at it. So I appreciate that very much because we know that those ratios can make a big difference. And so I don't know if you all are aware of ratios, but like the California Department of Education says 500 to 750, and we said 500, and I think that's incredible. So I wanted to bring that up. And then lastly, no, that was it, because they asked the other questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I don't see any further comments. I'll just try to say one little thing, and that is if you look at the makeup of this board, you have folks who have classroom experience, you have folks who have instructional aid experience, folks who have lived experience. So you're going to get a lot of questions on this, but also because folks are really, really wanting to see a difference. There's special ed teachers here today. And I appreciate that we're getting somewhere, but the urgency is real. And I think with all this lived experience, the urgency is going to continue to come back. So we're hoping to see a lot more updates and also see a lot more improvement in this process. So just thank you so much for presenting and taking all the questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 12.0, communications, student member report.
Awesome. At the beginning of the month, I had the opportunity to attend the California School Board Association Annual Education Conference Student Board Member Program. And through this, I had the opportunity to connect with a lot of incredible student board members. They were all very driven and inspiring and passionate youth. However, meeting these other student board members also showed me how our district is really unique in a lot of ways. And because we have new members, and this is also our last meeting of 2024, I just wanted to kind of recognize and uplift how grateful I am to be in SUSD. My bias aside, I think at the conference I really realized that we really are unique because of our ability to have such a diverse, urban, and large district, but also have these very shared goals and community commitment to change and unity. Which I think is really great. Another thing I've noticed is SUSD has a lot more opportunities for student impact and student engagement than other districts do. Speaking to other student board members, they don't have things like a student advisory council where students can directly give input to the board through proposed resolutions. So I just wanted to uplift how amazing these programs are and how lucky I am to be in SUSD with programs like this. And then just onto some student stuff. Congratulations to all the students for almost making it through the 3 weeks between the breaks. In a lot of ways, I think this is a really good time for a lot of students. They're in the holiday spirit. There's a lot of fun things happening at their schools. Like this week for my school is Spirit Week, and we have a rally tomorrow, and I think this is true for a lot of the high schools. There's been like holidays, celebrations, stuff like that. But also, I think it can be a really hard time for a lot of students, both with seasonal depression and also with final season coming up for our high schoolers. And with finals coming up, I just wanted to kind of encourage and uplift that we need to continue to support our students because I think a lot of them are really academically stressed and burnt out. I've seen a ton of students at my school and just in my peer group completely overwhelmed, I think, with just tests and assignments. And I think we should encourage our students to kind of also prioritize their mental health heading into finals week after break. This is kind of a weird segue, but on the topic of mental health, the Student Mental Wellness Committee has also opened up applications a few weeks ago, and we have gotten 200 plus responses from, I believe, every high school in our district. We've even gotten responses from high schools not in our district, so thank you to the roughly dozen kids from Elk Grove who applied. But we are currently working through sorting through all of these responses and choosing who's going to be on this committee. And I'm really looking forward to this committee really being able to take off in 2025 and do some great work around mental health and supporting student mental health. With that, I guess just happy holidays and happy new year. It's been good 2024.
Get those 12 students from Elk Grove to just transfer. It's fine.
Got somebody from med school.
Superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Singh. Good evening, everyone. Tomorrow is our last day of school in 2024. And before we take our winter break, I would like to thank our staff for their work this school year and give a few special shout outs for the holiday spirit staff has displayed this month. Our Family and Community Engagement Department held 5 pop-up events at school sites throughout Sac City to provide enrollment, parent square, and Infinite Campus support, as well as free books and computer access, so thank you. Last week, Nikki Kangas, the famous Nikki Kangas, our Community Engagement Manager, held a food distribution at Parkway's Pancake Breakfast. 100 boxes of food provided by Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services were distributed to our community from Evelyn, our new community resource bus. And if you don't know who Evelyn is, you need to know Evelyn. Our Homeless Education Services Program hosted a mobile movie night at one of the motels many of our unhoused families are temporarily staying at. And our staff provided entertainment, popcorn, blankets, hygiene items, jackets, and food. Thank you to all of our staff who participated in our foster youth gift drive to provide presents from wish lists for foster students. Foster Youth Services have been busy delivering all of the gifts to homes this week, and they had an event here either yesterday or the day, but one day this week, and the way they decorated this room, it was fantastic. So thank you to our foster youth staff. Finally, thank you to all of our community who made donations at the Cerna Center for our Spirit of Giving drive to help unhoused families. Our blue bins in the lobby has been filled multiple times with donation items, including hygiene items, blankets, pantry items, and kids' snacks. So thank you so much. This month, there has been so many winter concerts, fairs, toy giveaways. Special shout out to Isidore Cohen. If anyone is watching from Isidore Cohen, thank you. Just wonderful events happening throughout the district at school sites. They have made a significant impact on the lives of our students, and I am grateful to each of you every day for the excellent work you do for this wonderful district. All of your efforts inspire students to connect, grow, learn, and dream. And that's what's working in education. That's what is working in education, and that's what it's all about. In closing, I would like to thank our staff. And I really want you to spend some quality downtime, relaxing, recharging, rejuvenating, all those re's, with your loved ones over the winter break. Enjoy your time off. Thank you.
All right, moving on to me real quick. I'm going to start by embarrassing a staff member. So want to really give a loud happy birthday to Danielle. We'll save we could sing, but we won't do it. Save you some embarrassment. I also want to really quickly think about just the fact that we have a student member who takes their role really seriously. So I just really appreciate the commentary. You tell us what you're up to, and then I'm like, even I didn't go to that event. So I'm just like, but you went. So it's just really inspiring to hear that you're so committed to the district. And I think it's really refreshing that you feel, and as you should, that you're able to comment and speak on issues just like the rest of us. So I really appreciate your voice. I'm not going to say a lot other than the fact that I really appreciate all my colleagues up here for this opportunity, and just I want us to really make sure that we stay focused on what's important, and that is some of the issues that were discussed here tonight, that in some way, shape, or form we have an opportunity to work together in a way that's historical, that can be meaningful. And I just want to make sure that our focus remains on the kids, and our focus remains on making sure that students are receiving what they need to receive. And that's our only job up here, is to make sure that our students are taken care of, and that we're working with everyone, including our partners, our labor partners, our staff, to ensure that we're doing everything in our power to make this the best district possible. So thank you for your blessings tonight, and I'm going to pass it over to anybody else who wants to speak. Member Rhodes.
Okay, so it's late, so I will try to keep this brief. We've been able to be Santa Claus a lot here in the district. Ever since we started doing Breakfast with Santa at Parkway and John Still, it seems that I've been getting hit up to be Santa in a lot of places. And so, you next, brother. You're gonna be next. Yeah. So it's been great. We were here at the Cerner Center this week with CSE, and 200 families came out, and really seeing the kids engaged and involved was beautiful. But big things, I want to give a couple of shout outs really quickly. About a week ago, we did a big project called Be the Light South Sacramento, where we took a whole block, about 40 houses in Area 5, and we decorated them with festive lights for the holidays. And we had over 70 volunteers come out on 68th Avenue, right by in Area 5. And we had SMUD, great sponsor, Supervisor Kennedy, Councilman Vang, SMUD Director Tamayo, SCIU, SCTA, the Yin family, McDonald's, Job Corps, Area 5 principals came out, community school coordinators came out, community shop class, families and communities, and then also my team, David, Carissa, Anna, Maria, Danny, and Matt, who really brought together the groups and made it all work. It really goes to show that as Board of Education trustees, we don't only represent the school sites, but we represent those neighborhoods that our students are coming from as well. And also that, if you have a big idea, if you can do it by yourself, it's not big enough. And this showed that big ideas can happen and they can come through to fruition very quickly. So thank you to all the partners. Next year, we're going to try to ramp it up and do 100 houses. So you guys are all invited to the next time that we do something dope in Area 5. So Southside Pride people, thank you.
Member Kayada.
So I have a request to the community, and that's to help us protect our school services, our programs for our kids, and our budget. As you may be aware, the city of Sacramento is facing a fairly significant budget deficit, and it has shown time and time again that it tries to balance its budget deficits by pushing its costs onto other entities, such as Sac City Unified. We experienced this ourselves very recently when they tried to cut the SAC-RT ride-free program and make us pay for it. They pushed us so fast that we eventually had to, but I did not enjoy that. And I'm already starting to see machinations in City Hall trying to identify ways to cut their own programming and have the districts pay for it instead. So please join me in being vigilant to make sure that if the city is trying to push their budget deficit onto us, that we stand up and make sure we protect our schools and our student programming. And if cities' programs are happening on our facilities, we make sure that we identify that those are our facilities and we are benefiting that. Because at the end of the day, when budgets get tight, local government tends to blame each other and claim credit when they might not necessarily have it. So please let me know if you see anything, and let's protect our schools and our budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Member Kayada. Item 13.0, consent. So prior to taking action on the consent agenda, I want to clarify that on item 13.1B, there's been a change to the contracts report over 15K. So removing requisition number SA 25-00604 with Dwight Taylor. An amended report has been prepared and provided for our consideration and approval. We're also removing expulsion number 15 from item 13.1L. So with that statement, I want to ask, is there public comment?
There is
There's
none.
not. Thank you. Sorry, Brian. Is there a motion to approve all items on consent?
Second.
All right, student preferential vote, then we'll do roll call.
Aye. Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Kayada? Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Navarro?
Aye.
Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Ibarra?
Aye.
So moved.
Oh, sorry, let me go to my page. All right, sorry. Where are we at? It's all good.
Yeah.
Future board meetings, January 16th and February 6th. Thank you so much.
Whoa. That was fast.
Y'all know where we're at. You know the address.
We're done.